New Hampshire Motor Speedway, the largest sports and entertainment facility in New England, has seen racing aplenty since its opening on June 5th, 1990, around both the oval and, of course, the road courses. Series that have been here have included NASCAR, modifieds, late models, motorbikes, and more. It has hosted both kart and Indycar racing from 1992 to 1998, with one final showing in 2011. Today, though, in 2020, we see the IndyCars once more hitting the circuit for round number 7 in the VRCE Classic IndyCar Series. Hello, one and all, and welcome to RaceSpot TV on the iRacing Esports Network. I'm Noel Rempel, and joining me today is Jim Hodgson beside me in the commentator's box, with the lovely Connery Maddock downstairs in the producer's chair. There's much to talk about, Jim. Most Yes, most notably Joshua Chin. 2 of the past 3 races have not quite gone his way, with Chin failing to finish high at Brands Hatch and not finishing at all at Zolder. However, the last race at Detroit is where he has shone the brightest all season. In fact, he was just about 5 seconds away from lapping the entire field in that race. Chin so far has, of course, won both oval races as well this season, so no doubt he's looking to continue his dominant streak on the ovals, and he's looking to also extend on his 22-point gap right down to Lucas LaVille after they swap places for the points lead following Detroit.
Absolutely. We should have a positively thrilling race today, as you know, because we were talking about it just a moment ago. We got a list, just a quick rundown of the favorites for the race, and the rundown is 30-40 drivers long. So we could have a whole lot of action on track today. I know that we will.
And of course, New Hampshire is a track where action is definitely prominent, as you got the top 10 right now in the standings up on your screen. Only 2 drivers right now in the 200-point bracket. Robert Groscher is down there in 3rd place for Vortex Sim Racing with 189 points. Jamie Wilson in 4th with 158. 137 is Andrew Wood. Those drivers are already pretty much out of the championship fight already. It's really down between Joshua Chin and Lucas LaVille right now, who should mention in this practice session, they are right now running 1-2 on the timing charts as well. So it is going to be a very, very close fight today.
Strong showing both from Chimera and Vortex Sim Racing. As you can see, they're dominating the top 5 spots there, even if some of them are out of the championship hunt.
And of course, you do have to remember that this is not the only oval race we're going to yet in the season. There is, of course, one more coming actually right after the summer break on August 9th, going down to Kentucky before we once more take to the road courses up in Canada and then over at Zandvoort and the Glen before finishing things off on 2 more oval races, Las Vegas and Indianapolis. So right now, we are very much in Chin territory right now. He was dominant at Detroit. He's won both Fontana and Phoenix so far. He's looking to get himself a very strong potential 3 in a row. He definitely has the skills he needs to get it done.
Absolutely, and we'll see those skills on display today, I have no doubt.
Yes, indeed. These drivers, of course, they're no stranger to races like these. Of course, the last time we raced here was over in 2017. And should note, the driver that won that last race is not racing with us in the season today. Joshua Chin, he finished 2nd, about 2 to 3 seconds above the 3rd place finish. So Joshua Chin is definitely one driver who is going to be a tough man to match here.
Let me ask your opinion, Nolan, if I may. With lap times being what they are, let's call it 22-ish seconds, just concentration and focus is the highest it needs to be. So do you think there's a possibility of that, sort of just working on in Chin's mind, maybe forcing a mistake? Hopefully we don't see him lose any concentration, but what are your thoughts on that matter?
Well, it wouldn't be the first time that maybe overly focused has caused him to lose out on spots. Of course, that's how he lost it out at both Brands Hatch and Zolder, most notably at Zolder, when he took the lead and just 3 corners later slammed into the guardrail after overshooting turn 1 and had to retire the car. So it wouldn't be the first time that, an easy self-inflicted mistake would have ended his day. And this is, of course, a track that is very easy to make mistakes at, with the track surface being incredibly old. And it is incredibly bumpy as well. You can see 2 different lines of pavement there on the track that Lucas LaVille is right now on, the first car on track for qualifying. So it is worth noting that it is a very easy track to lose the back end on, especially since you downshift into 4th when the cars are higher revs. It is more prone to oversteer, especially when you're only in about the 3rd or 4th gears as well. Definitely down in 1st and 2nd as well. So LaVille currently top of the boards with a 22.579. Ethan Hagen down at 2nd with a 22.617, with Shoemake rounding out the top 3 right now.
It seems to me we're likely to see those times come down as more and more of them get posted, but already burning it up out there.
Burning it up indeed, and that is something to bring into note as well, is of course the track temperature. Right now it's 79 degrees Fahrenheit in the air, 117 degrees Fahrenheit on the racing surface. So it is a very hot track right now.
Now, what will that mean for tire degradation with the track surface being that hot?
It, of course, will mean that tires will fall off quickly, and it means that drivers it'll be very easy to overheat the tires too. That's going to be a very crucial thing as well. We've seen a lot of drivers that have been losing the back end of the car in practice, particularly on apex and on exits. So right when they started to get on the throttle, very easy to really smoke up the rear end and send this car around. I still have not been able to put a clean lap around in here myself, as we take a look to see what Josh Chin can do Current lap time, though, not quite right. I said it was a 2 minute 4 second time, but he is definitely going to be on a flyer, and hopefully it'll be faster than that 2 minute 4 second time. Currently on his first flying lap, and he's going to be looking to take away pole position from LaVille. Realistically, he's one of the only drivers that can get it done.
Could you also be looking to that right front, or understeering when the tires get to fall off a little bit?
In particular, once the cars start to get further into the run, and maybe once things start to get spaced out, and Chin's going to loop it. Speaking of the devil on the second lap, and just after he luckily, though, did manage to take pole position by less than half a tenth of a second.
Yeah, that looked like a classic loss of the rear there. Unfortunate, but I'm sure that it's not the last time we'll see it today.
Yeah, definitely not the last time we're going to see that today. It's one of the, I'm expecting that to be one of the key cases for yellows, especially in the early running here, until drivers can get themselves settled into things. Right now, we're just about approaching the halfway point now of the qualifying session. They got 10 minutes to run in 2 laps, single car qualifying, of course, so each driver will only get 2 laps, and then they will have to pull it off the track. Andrew Wood now just putting in yet another lap. That's going to be able to put him up at a 6th place on the boards.
Just thrilling and amazing to see these cars running out there, even with that gigantic rear tire, that stagger tire setup. If you're not careful with the accelerator, you can spin these cars in a second.
Oh, absolutely. It's very, very easy to spin the tires with these cars and loop them around. So Jan Hoffman right now, one of the last drivers on the boards to try to get a time in there, and he's currently 9th place right now, and he's still trying to find his way to see if maybe he can improve on this second lap. He's now off of turn number 4, going to be across the line. That's going to be a 22.893, so not going to improve, and just like that, he gets bumped down to 10th place as well.
Well, I'm sure that he was looking for better, but there's just not much time in between all 17 of these cars we have on the board.
All 17 cars on the board, and most notably is, of course, Jonathan Diggs, who you'll see 1.4 seconds off the leader's pace and about 0.7 of a second off of Andrew Adair Saunders. So he's almost as far off from 16th place as 1st to 16th are separated from each other. So clearly Diggs is not having a very good qualifying run, and he is going to have to do a whole lot better in the race if he's going to want to improve on his finishing position.
No question about that, but I think that we're definitely seeing a portend for an exciting race today.
That's one of the big things that we're looking to get into. So it does look like everybody has run down through their qualifying laps, and at this point in time, we just have to, really wait for these 5 minutes to tick on out here. And we do have quite a bit of time on our hands while we're waiting around here, so we could run through a couple of the other stories as well. Of course, you got Lucas LaVille, and it's good to know that Robert Groscher, he's been looking to also improve on the season so far. He did win at Zolder, if memory serves me right, so Robert Groscher in that number 3 machine, he is also going to be one of those key drivers to keep an eye out for. He's currently sitting 6th place, about just over 1/10 of a second off of Chin's pole time.
Really a case of anything can happen. And honestly, this is the moment when I get most excited taking part in watching these things, when it's just thinking about the possibilities and looking down at the timing screen. And I'm thrilled is what I'm telling you.
Well, I don't blame you. I mean, the oval races have definitely been something very, very intense throughout the course of the season. We started the season off strong at Auto Club Motor Speedway, and then, of course, we had an absolutely thrilling race at Phoenix, and that's by far been my favorite race of the season so far. So that was rounds 1 and 3, started all the way back in March 22nd. So it has been a very, very good run for, a couple drivers, and like I said, Josh Rutin is going to be looking to once more dominate the oval scene, as he's gone almost half a season now until he's back in his home turf. But I think after Detroit, he said that he is about ready to really hit the ground running here.
What a great calendar. Just some really, truly exciting tracks on this calendar.
Oh, I know. I mean, you look at Brands Hatch. Brands Hatch in the zone was incredibly thrilling. There was a lot of attrition in that race, of course, because they ran the Indy layout. Keep in mind, not the Grand Prix layout. I can't wait for Montreal. That's going to be a race that I can't wait for as well, because that is it's a race where there is a lot of really tight chicanes. You got a really tight hairpin onto the longest straight of the track, the infamous Wall of Champions, which no doubt will catch at least 1 or 2 drivers out there. Montreal, I think, is going to be great. Watkins Glen is always great. Indianapolis, that's one way to finish off the season right there, of course, with the Indianapolis 500.
Sure, no question about that. I mean, certainly the most. I'm going to go ahead and say the most iconic track on the calendar, but You know, I love Belle Isle, Brands Hatch, as you say, iconic, gorgeous. I mean, hard to go wrong with any of these.
No, absolutely. And, Watkins Glen is going to be an interesting one, too, I feel. But, of course, the next race coming up after this one is another oval. It is going to be Kentucky. Keep in mind, not the repaved Kentucky, which was shortly released just a little while ago here on the service in the last build. No, they're running the old Kentucky back from 2011. So that is going to be something that will be very, very interesting to see from these guys. As well, Kentucky Motor Speedway, it's of course a track that IndyCar ran on way back in the day. They don't run on it anymore, so it'll be good to see IndyCars once more take it to the mile and a halves. Well, while we are, of course, waiting for the qualifying session to just run on down with just 2 minutes remaining, then we may as well run through your basically confirmed starting grid as of right now. You got Joshua Chin right now on pole position with Lucas Laville, .033 just off the pace there. These two drivers to really watch out for as they're battling for the top spot in the Drivers' Championship right now. Ethan Agan, Tristan Hauser will round out row number 2 with Andrew Aitken finishing out the top 5. It's Robert Groscher, Zolder winner, down in 6th place with Andrew Wood and Jamie Wilson, 7th and 8th. Randy Shoemake and Jan Hoffman are rounding out 9th and 10th place. Caleb Weekly, Logan Simmons, 11th and 12th. On row number 7, it's Johnny Garrett and Niall McBride. Art McEwen and Andrew Adair Saunders, 15th and 16th. And it's going to be a lonely run in the back, we're predicting, for Mr. Jonathan Diggs, 1.4 seconds off the pace. And he is left with a lot of work to do if he's going to improve on that time. He was notably 4/10 quicker in practice, and what is also noted about that, though, is while he was 4/10 quicker in practice, Jim, he was still the slowest car by over a quarter of a second.
Yeah, it's just there's no way to explain it. I was just thinking as you were running it down, there's some guys are really good at qualifying, not so good at the race. Some folks, I guess, are good in practice, not so good in qualifying. But, the race is a whole nother matter, as you well know. So we're still in that anything can happen mode, and will be until we see the checkered flag.
Well, and this could really come down to a case like Brands Hatch or even Phoenix, where it is an attrition-filled race. We saw a lot of cars, some not even able to, make it more than 4 or 5 laps before they started to lose the back end of the cars and have these horrendous accidents. So this could be another race where attrition is key, and if Diggs can keep his nose clean, he could even find himself running in the top 10. It wouldn't be the first time we've seen it in the series.
No, you're absolutely right about that. Yeah, keeping it clean is key.
Well, just 10 seconds remaining in this qualifying session before the checkered flag will officially fly, and we are going to get set to go racing for what is predicted to be a 2-hour race or 200 laps, whichever comes first. So 200 laps around a 1-mile speedway, and I'll tell you what, with the speeds these cars can fly around here, like you said, we are expecting a whole lot of action. They did run a couple practice starts, should note, in the final minutes of practice as well. We were seeing 3 up to 4 wide racing down the front straightaway here at the opening laps on some of those practice starts. So it is going to be a very intense start. I can feel it coming.
Yeah, I can't wait. I'm really... this is going to be so good.
Well, now just waiting for the drivers to take to the grid and start things up and running for us today here in the Classic IndyCar Series as we get set to go racing for another oval race. It's been a while since we've been here, and I can tell that this might be one of those races where full course yellows might grace us all the way out throughout this race. So right now we're just waiting on drivers to line up behind the pace car before we can get things rolling. Of course, this is an important race as well because after this race, you do have, of course, that summer break, which is going to be running all the way through July up until August, at which point we kick things back up at Kentucky. So it's really the last race for drivers to get things while they're up to speed, and then they're going to be, they might be a little rusty coming back after that month in Kentucky. Of course, you will have those drivers that are very, very consistent at practice. I don't doubt that Chin and LaVille will be among the two that might not be as rusty as some of the others.
Well, I can tell you I'm planning on getting a little rusty this summer. I don't know about you.
Well, I'm not quite sure about me yet. Still figuring out what we're going to do there. Just waiting on 4th place driver now, Tristan Hauser, who looks like might end up starting from the pit lane here. So that 56 machine right now, the only one that we're waiting on. And just like that, he grids up onto the grid. And just like that, the car is going to fire up. And, well, we're going to get set to go racing for our pace lap before we take things to the green. Pace car rolls off, and Joshua Chin will lead the field off behind them as one by one, these, if my math is correct here, 7 or 8 rows are going to file off behind them. And we're going to get set to go racing once again. This is where the pressure really does start to build, especially at a track like this. Dive bombs could be a very crucial thing. Drivers are not hitting 6th gear. Should remember, these cars do have 6 gears. They're only hitting the top of 5th, not going fast enough to get into 6th gear. They are downshifting to 4th in the middle of the corners. That's going to be very crucial as well. Just half a lap to go before we get set to thunder away for 200 more laps at this beautiful, beautiful New Hampshire Motor Speedway. Down into turns number 3 and 4. It's going to be in the hands of Joshua Chin as the field starts to bunch up a bit in the midfield. And right now it is going to be all in the hands of the number 93 Chimera machine. The pace car pulls off. Chin waiting on the throttle early. We're off and away. Green flag racing here in New Hampshire. And it's a great launch from Joshua Chin already. The top 5 single filing out. And Andrew Wood still trying to have it go. Robert Grosser up the inside in turn 1. Not quite able to make it work.
It did look like Wood got a pretty good start and did try to make a move on Grosser, but not sure he was able to make it stick.
Already some drivers have swapped around positions since the start of this race. Nothing uncommon for this series, as really the entire field just about single filing out here really, really early now. Still a really good launch there for Joshua Chin. LaVille is running him down with a little bit of draft he could get in these cars. Almost gets close to the wall, has to jerk the car hard left to keep it out, and the caution is out already. A crash in turn number 2. Logan Simmons has found the outside wall. We were talking about how the cars got very loose here in Jim on the early run. Guess what happened to Simmons? Stepped the back end on throttle on the exit of the corner, the 75. Self-spin all in the zone. Lucky not to catch up any other drivers.
What happens here? I'm sure it's exactly as you said. We knew it was going to happen.
And right there, back end snaps around. You don't have a chance to save it, and he goes hard into the outside wall. Rear wing immediately falls off of the car, and I'm pretty sure that's going to end Simmons' day right then and there, because these drivers do not have fast spares in these cars, so they're going to have to get all that fixed up themselves, and it takes quite a while to put a rear wing on the back of the car. And in fact, Simmons has left the garage. He is going to be out. So our first retiree on just the 2nd lap. You really do hate to see it.
Unfortunate, but could have been so much worse, exactly as you said. I mean, the whole field could have caught that car sitting right in the middle of the turn.
And Hoffman going to take it to the lane from 9th place, so he's going to drop all the way down to the back of the field. An interesting call there from Hoffman. Let's take that car down to the lane of the 05 machine as we take a look at what things are looking like right now throughout the field. Of course, you're seeing Hoffman dropping down the timing order, apart from Simmons, of course, and now I guess the car stopped and not getting the field up with fuel. Just going to get a quick swap of tires, and he's off and away. So you usually don't see drivers coming down to the pit lane just 2 laps into a run. So an interesting pit call there from Hoffman.
It could just be my eyes playing tricks on me, but it looked like there might have been a suspension issue. I thought I saw a little bit of extra camber on that front left wheel, but that could just have been my ancient eyes playing tricks, as I say.
It's something to note for sure. Could definitely, we'll have to keep an eye on that one then as the race goes on, it would seem. So Jan Hoffman, one of the Vortex sim racing machines, and the Vortex sim racing guys, they have been very, very fast throughout the course of the season. They really have been the big contenders, them and Chimera together for the team's championship so far. So Hoffman, one of those drivers out there. The top 2 for these teams, of course, you got Joshua Chin driving for Chimera out in front. You got Lucas LaVille, currently the flag bearer for Vortex sim racing, running down in 2nd place.
Yeah, crazy the way it worked out for the Vortex racing cars. They're, every other car up to P6.
Oh, yeah, and it's a team that we're used to seeing run out front, and this is one thing to keep an eye on as well, is of course, the Team Chimera guys, they do tend to hang around in the back on these oval races for a good portion of the early stages of these oval races, and then they like to pounce in the last section. They did that at Phoenix. They kind of hung just outside the top 10 for majority of the race, and then in the final 50 laps or so, they sprung up, and I think they got about 3 of those 4 cars into the top 5, so it was a very impressive run from Chimera in the final 50 laps, and I wouldn't be surprised if we were to see a similar situation play out here today.
Yeah, no question, and not a bad strategy, as we know, but on a track this size, maybe not quite as effective.
Well, only one way to wait and see and that is to see, of course, how things are going to play out as the race goes on. Still a lot of racing left. You got 195 laps to go still, so lights are now out on the pace car. No double file restarts, of course, because this is IndyCar racing, not quite stock car, so it's going to be a single file restart to kick things off here, and it'll be Joshua Chin once more to lead them to the green.
These drivers have got to feel like they're just chomping at the bit, ready to actually get some racing going on, you know, to have a yellow this early in the race.
Well, you got to remember, though, as well, it is a very, very difficult track. You got the two different types of surface in the middle of the corners. You have, like, the slightly newer surface, it would seem, on the outside, and then a big concrete slab on the insides, both 1, 2, and 3, and 4. It really does remind me of Martinsville in many respects, and I tend to refer to this track as, I guess, Martinsville 2.0, because you take Martinsville, you make it 2 times bigger. This is pretty much what you get, is New Hampshire Motor Speedway. Chin is on the top side of the racetrack, though, so we'll have to see what this will mean for him as the pace car. Once we're going to make the dive off to pit road, Chin on the throttle early. He's off in the way with another launch.
Really did seem like he got away a little bit, but they seem to be catching up. The field's catching.
This tends to happen once you get the draft plan into effect. I do see in the back, Randy Shoemake tried to have a look around Andrew Wood in 8th place. Ended up accidentally dropping back to 10th place. You don't have a whole lot of speed right around the apron there, these Indy cars, and that's where we're seeing a lot of guys having trouble. You do kind of want to run that middle groove like Shoemake is running now. He's had a little bit of struggles there on the start. He's looking to no doubt recover as the run goes on. Everything's still looking very clean and green as we look up front to the battle for 4th place. Draken up the inside, and Tristan Hauser forcing him up the track. And Hauser, well out of the racing group, is going to lose another one here to Robert Grosser in that number 3 machine. So all of a sudden, that terrible lap for Hauser will see him lose 2 spots, and one of them to his own teammate as well.
Yeah, it looked unfortunate for him, but, you know, I feel like on the one hand, he wanted to keep it clean and give plenty of racing room, but I think Grosser just kind of said, thank you very much, I'll come on through.
Jonathan Diggs did have a spin off of turn 2, was at the very back, so no yellow. He is just off the racing surface now and on the usually one of the chicanes is on the infield road course, or on the road before this circuit. This was just about a lap ago, so he's more than a lap down now, and he's not going to be able to have a go. You see just off there, it was just off of turn 2, much like Logan Simmons' wreck was earlier, just got in the throttle too early, lost it back into the car all on his own. It was out of the way of the field, though, so there was no caution for it, and we're staying green. Tough break there for Jonathan Diggs, who was really looking to have a good run and maybe improving his position from a terrible qualifying run.
It's just a terrible feeling to feel like you're off of the group like that, and just all you want to do is catch up. But if you get a little bit hasty on that throttle, it's the end of your day.
Now we're seeing Jamie Wilson having to go at Tristan Hauser. Hauser potentially going to lose more spots here. He's got 2 Chimera teammates hounding his mirrors. Managed to pull that outside line beautifully. Wilson had to slot back in line, but this is right now the battle for 6th place on the circuit. Wilson still trying to find his way under there, taking a bit of a tighter line. Hauser trying to really arc off the corner, diamond it off, and get a really good run down the straight. Right now he's doing that perfectly. Jamie Wilson, he's just got to try to find some way to break through that defense.
That's some unbelievably close racing right there, when you feel like you can just reach out and touch the guy in front of you's gearbox.
And Jonathan Diggs has also taken the car to the garage, so Diggs is not going to be rejoining the track. So we have now 2 retirees before we're even a 10th of the way through the race, and still trying to find some way through. This is going to be one of the closer battles I can feel throughout this little green flag run, as Wilson still trying to run down Tristan Hauser. Another battle that we're going to have to keep an eye on as well is, of course, the 3-way battle for 2nd right now between Andrew Aiken, Ethan Agan, and Lucas LaVille.
I think we're seeing Wood in his car there, surely licking his lips, looking for his chance to get around as well.
Ethan Agan trying to fend off Andrew Aiken, not going to work. Aiken squeezes by on the inside of 3 and 4, makes the pass work. So Andrew Aiken up into the final podium position. Now Ethan Agan trying to find a way back, try saying that 5 times fast. So Ethan Agan having to go at Andrew Aiken. So 2 drivers still trying to find their way up there. Of course, 2 different teams as well, so no need to worry about teammate battles in this little fight. Andrew Aiken, though, looks like he's almost pulling that gap, and he's trying to run down Lucas LaVille to overtake 2nd place.
Yeah, kudos for the enunciation there. Well done to you, sir. It looks like Wood indeed has made a jump up there.
Andrew Wood completes the jump for 7th place on his teammate Jamie Wilson. Potential strategy call to see what they can make work. Andrew Aiken up front, having a go at Lucas Laville as well. Down the inside of the 3 and 4, he makes that work. So Aiken is on the charge. He's now overtaken your second place points contender right now. Off of turn number 4, trying to run down Joshua Chin. All this side-by-side battling has helped Chin to pull a little bit of a gap. Now the question is going to be, does Aiken have what it takes to run down what has been the Oval Master? Here was Ethan Aiken trying to have a look up the inside, but Laville gets the run off of him. Aiken cut it a little bit too tight to make it work.
Chin does seem to be scampering away, but we got to remember that the wake that these cars make is pretty long, although he does seem to be getting away now.
Dean still having a good run at things as when we take a look back at the replay. This was on board with Andrew Aiken. This was the pass up the inside in the turns 3 and 4 on Lucas Laville. Really just dove it into the corner and made it work. Almost muscled him out of the racing groove and cut him off on this the corner. That is a textbook pass, how you get that done. Should note that right now Andrew Aiken is turning lap times that are faster than Joshua Chin by about a 10th a lap. So Aiken is definitely running them down, and he's hungry. He wants that lead.
We do have plenty of racing left, so at a 10th a lap, he should certainly catch him without too much trouble. But I was going to say exactly... Oh, we got another pass going here, a battle going on.
Ethan Aiken having another go at Lucas Laville. Can he get it done this time? Up the inside, cuts across the wing on the exit of the corner. That's a pass done for Ethan Aiken. Will Lucas Laville try to fight back into turns 3 and 4? Going to like to stay in line, so good job on Laville to pick his battles wisely and maybe not go for things come all out just yet. We're now a 10th of the way through this race as Chin still running out in front. It was a 23.436 last time for Chin. 23.526 for Andrew Aiken. So Chin did pull a little bit on the last run. No doubt still going to try to run him down. Tristan Hauser's lost a spot, meanwhile, to Andrew Wood. Meanwhile, as well, Jamie Wilson could potentially be under threat here by Randy Shoemaker here in a minute as clouds descend over the racetrack.
You know, as I look into my crystal ball here, it looks to me, and we don't have too much data, but it looks to me like Aiken might just be saying to himself, hey, I'm happy running right here for a minute. Maybe I can hang out.
Indeed, and potentially maybe wait for the track to come to him too. With cloud cover rolling in, the track is starting to cool off. It's at 115 degrees Fahrenheit now. It's 118 once the race started. So it's cooled off about 3 degrees in the past few laps alone. So cloud cover potentially cooling the track as well. Looks like Shoemaker having a bit of a look on Jamie Wilson. Not going to be close enough to make that dive into turn number 1, but still, no doubt he's going to be looking to find whatever way he can to find a way through, especially after he was one of those few drivers that had some very unfortunate luck at Detroit 2 weeks ago.
You got to have those chats with yourself, you know, especially only 23 laps into a 200-lap race. Like, hey, I don't need to overdrive the car and, you know, knock myself out of contention later on. Let's just hang out and be smart.
Hang out, be smart, and maybe get things done 100 laps down the line is what you need to consider. And if this run continues to pan out and stay green, we are going to have to keep in mind on pit strategy and, you know, where a driver's going to start to come down for the pits. We already know one driver that is off of the pit cycle, and that is, of course, Jan Hoffman, who right now is running in 12th position. He came down on the second lap, so he's a little bit off cycle, and Shoemaker is still trying to find a way to go at Jamie Wilson, and he is getting right up to the gearbox. And I think I'm going to follow with what you're saying here. I think he's right now just perfectly content with running in the back here. You know, save a little bit of fuel down the straights. Doesn't really need to push too hard. And we'll have to wait and see here in a few laps if he gets to the back end just how much this is going to be. And right now, your leaders have just caught lap traffic. Art McEwen just let through Andrew Aitken and Joshua Chin. And right now, less than a second separating your top two as there goes Randy Shoemaker up the inside.
You know, they say you never drive faster than when you're in second place as well. Great spot to pounce from. You know, if you're out in the lead, everybody's trying to get at you.
And Shoemaker has to jump on the binders a little bit there as well as he cut across his front wing. Would have wrecked both of them if Shoemaker didn't bow out. So getting out of that one, good move there from Shoemaker to avoid a wreck there and a potential second caution here. And right now, Jamie Wilson is definitely going to try to find some way to break away from it, or he is going to end up losing that spot, because we just saw he was not willing to sit behind and wait. He wants to go. He wants to make up spots, and he knows he's being a little bit held up here. They are approaching Art McEwen, who's right now 15th place on the racing surface and now one lap down. And here comes Schumann once again up the inside, wheel to wheel with the 87 through turns 1 and 2. Will Wilson be able to fight back? He's going to have a run at him on this at the corner, drag racing it down the back straightaway. Can Shoemaker get the jump on him here in 3 and 4? Way down to the inside, and it is going to be that run off the corner that might define this battle if Wilson can get the jump on it. Here comes McEwen, though. This might get interesting here.
Man, this has been an
they
unbelievable...
wrecked each other!
Oh, no.
Up and over goes Jamie Wilson, cautions out, and hard into the outside wall goes the 87. It was kind of inevitable. Wilson was trying to jump down low, and unfortunately for him, Shoemake was there trying to force him out of the groove, and did not work at all for Jamie Wilson, who got punted on the left rear by Randy Shoemake. They were side by side for over a lap. Watch this wild ride for the 87. Goodness gracious, that is a really crazy flip. Nearly got up into the fencing there. That is definitely going to end Jamie Wilson's day, and not the way we wanted to see our second caution of the race come out. This will help out Andrew Aiken significantly because he's right up on the back end now. Joshua Chin, as we take one more look at things, and there was the contact into the corner and got some serious air there as well.
Yeah, terrifying. Unfortunate. I thought Shoemake was really playing it well. You know, you saw him go high in 3 and 4 to get a run on him, but unfortunate that they came together.
Good portion of cars are coming down, including Lucas LaVille, Tristan Hauser, Shoemake, Niall McBride, Johnny Garrett, Jan Hoffman, Caleb Weekly, Andrew Saunders. Should note Joshua Chin and others, such as Andrew Aiken, Ethan Aiken, and Robert Grosser, have stayed out. So about half the field is down from the lead lap cars. The other half is out. This is going to mean that Chin will definitely restart in the lead. But what is going to happen with the field here once they're coming off of pit road? Because guys like Lucas LaVille will be able to absolutely charge through the order, because now tire wear is going to be a very huge factor here on this restart.
Yeah, interesting move, as you say. We'll have to see how it shakes out. Plenty of racing left to go, but you wonder what's going on in the mind of the driver here.
Absolutely. You really do have to wonder just what is happening in the minds of these drivers. And you do, of course, a lot of these teams, especially the bigger teams, they have, those strategists that are, sitting at the home at their own computers, and they're like crunching numbers as things are happening on the track. Should know that Andrew Aiken does have the fastest lap of the race so far of a 23:037. Art McEwen is going to take to the lane as well. He was, of course, 1 lap down, so pit road opens a lap later for him. This has been a very, very good run so far for a lot of these drivers. So far, Joshua Chin has led every lap with the drop of the green flag. There have been quite a bit of position shuffling for second place, as Lucas LaVille now finds himself down in 6th place, but on fresh rubber. So what will that rubber be able to do for him? I would think that LaVille will be able to get right up to the lead and potentially threaten Chin's dominant run here so far.
Do you think that Aiken and Agan are both just watching the leader, Chin, and saying, I'm just going to do what he does? If he goes in, I go in. If he doesn't, I don't.
Well, Joshua Chin has won both oval races so far at 2 different racetracks, including one that's much like this at Phoenix. So that might be exactly what's happening. I mean, learn from the master, and that's what Joshua Chin has proven himself so far this season. He's very, very good on the oval circuit. So we'll have to see what's going to happen here. It's going to be a very interesting restart, though, and I think this is where calamity might finally break out.
Hagen has really been coming up through the field. He's been impressing me so far. I think we're going to see even more excitement out of him.
Oh, absolutely. It has been a very interesting one, as we'll see a lot of excitement out of a lot of drivers. Keep in mind as well throughout this race, as we're just on lap number 33 now out of 200, so still just about a fifth of the way through this race, and already we've had 3 different retirements: Jamie Wilson, Jonathan Diggs, and Logan Simmons. Of course, the yellow flag, if you're just tuning in, was for Jamie Wilson, who had a hard slap with the wall in turn 2 and flipped up and over after contact was made in the battle for, I think it was about 7th or 8th place with Randy Shoemake in the number 2. So that is why we are right now under this yellow flag. So it's an unfortunate end for a couple of these drivers, and all of them have just ended on their 2 of them under their own mistakes, and 1 just through some very hard racing.
Just goes to show you exactly as we were saying, just a moment's loss of concentration, you touch wheels, and that's the end of your day.
Indeed, and I think it was kind of a combination of both. I mean, Wilson was trying to get down low to get out of, or to pass by Art McEwen. I think Shoemake was actually trying to pin him up on the top side of the racetrack to hold him up behind that lap car, use him as a pick. Unfortunately, 2 lines just connect, and I guess they were a bit closer together than, or I guess Wilson thought he had a bit more room than he realized, so that will end his night, and it did give Shoemake a tiny bit of damage, which has since been repaired with a new front wing. So now, though, with 1 lap to green, now we'll get to really see if fresh rubber will really prevail as much as I'm thinking it will.
I certainly have that feeling, but, I've been wrong before, as my wife has been known to remind me.
Oh dear. Well, they're gonna, I guess, move things right along from that then. And I really am hoping that things go smooth on this restart. It would be nice to get some really long 50 lap runs in. Wouldn't be the first time though we've seen races go a bit haywire on the restarts. And well, the old adage is of course caution breeds cautions. Gonna have to wait and see what will happen here. Chin jumped off the restart early this time. Pace car pulls off. He jumps off just as early. He's off and away. Not as big of a launch this time, though. Andrew Aiken able to anticipate that, and he's looking to run him down.
Yeah, you're right. Past experience has made him, cautious. But he is good on that accelerator on the restart. No question about that.
LaVille already up to 5th place and hounding his teammate Robert Groscher for 4th place just in the background. So LaVille is on the charge down the inside, and that is the speed between fresh tires and worn tires on a less than optimal racing group, and he's up to 4th already. So LaVille is looking to be on the charge. He's going to be trying to run him down whatever he can. There's a lot of speed in that car. He can definitely get it done.
You're absolutely right. That looked to me like confidence all day. He knew that he had the tires to make that work.
That, and it was his teammate, Robert Groscher. So it likely Groscher knew he was going to come, so he decided to let him out of the way. But I want to mention, race to the Joshua Chin, 23.2 last time by LaVille, a 22.9. He's over a quarter of a second quicker every single lap. He just set the fastest lap of the race as well.
Yeah, he's catching these leaders too. You can see it happening.
And the leaders are about to start battling amongst themselves too, so this is going to get very, very tight here really, really quickly. Lucas LaVille now in the back of Ethan Hagan, that number 20, very, very blue machine, and LaVille going to try the inside. Can he make it work? He's going to get cut off by Hagan. Hagan gets forced wide though, and it's going to be LaVille still trying to find the run. He's got to pounce right here on the entry to really make it work. Now dives up the inside, and up into 3rd place goes Lucas LaVille.
Unbelievable. It looks like he's in a different class of car out there with those new tires.
Not quite, though. Ethan Hagan did manage to fight back on the old rubber on the outside of the racetrack. I think LaVille might have already burned the fresh rubber up, and now it's kind of in a similar boat here with a lot of these other drivers, which would not surprise me. I mean, that's something that we've seen time and time again. Another battle is really close right now is Johnny Garrett, Niall McBride, and Jan Hoffman, as they almost all went 3 wide into the barrier, and they're almost running each other over back there.
I think you're seeing Hagan have to pay the price a little bit for trying to fight this LaVille off, but they're pairing up a little bit.
They certainly are. Now it's Randy Shoemane trying to diamond off the corner. Just up the road, Andrew Wood having to go at Robert Groscher for the 5th position. And now Wood is up the inside of Robert Groscher. Can he make it work and make it stick? He will. Groscher tried to get the wider arc. Got a bit too wide though, and causes Tristan Howard to have to take a bit of evasive action to avoid running through the back of him. 3 wide though, down the front straight for a brief moment. Johnny Garrett just completed, or was trying to fend off a pass on Jan Hoffman and managed to defend it off successfully.
Wow, excitement up and down the field for us right now.
Now Johnny Garrett slowed out to let both Caleb Weekly and Jan Hoffman through, so having a bit of struggles there, it would seem, for Mr. Garrett, as he's down to 12th place now and outside the top 10 up the road here. We are now seeing Lucas LaVille trying to have another go at Ethan Hagan. He's still on the fresher rubber. I think, though, the performance advantage has definitely been neutralized, so we're going to have to see what is going to happen here. Lucas LaVille still trying to find some way to hound the back of Ethan Hagan and find some way through.
This is such a thrilling battle between these two cars, but at the same time, you can see Hagan just drifting off of the 2 leaders.
Yeah, Ethan Hagan definitely not right now as fast as Andrew Aiken or Joshua Chin. It is going to be very crucial, not to mention they are stuck in dirty air, as our producer Connor Matic has just pointed out. So it's another key talking point is, of course, dirty air can really hound your overall pace. That might be what's hurting these 2 drivers back here. They're not able to get the good run because of that dirty air.
It's tough. You got to be within striking distance in order to make a move, but if you are in striking distance, then you're in the dirty air. What do you do?
Well, you go full send and dive it up the inside is what quite a few of these drivers will say, and I don't doubt that's what it might come down to. in the final few runs of this race. Lucas LaVille is getting held up right now by Ethan Hagen, and that's backing him off into Andrew Wood, who right now was in 5th place. He's been in clean air up to this point, and you can see he already reeled him in big time. So right now, this is not what he wants to see, and LaVille tries the outside line of a 4. Is he going to make this one work? It passes around the outside, starting in the middle of the corner. I think LaVille just made that work, and that was a beautiful overtake.
Absolutely. And look at Wood. Might be able to capitalize on that move as well.
So all of a sudden, Ethan Hagen losing out on 2 different spots, and this is that's one that we're gonna have to take another look at for sure. This is a 1 and 2. Watch as he closes up on him down the back straightaway here, and then in the middle 3 and 4, jukes to the outside, and then suddenly gets the run on him. And Ethan Hagen, not expecting that, he was looking to the inside, looked back high, and right there, just kind of goes to the outside, and then he saw an opportunity, and he went for it. And Ethan Hagen, nothing he could have done there. He was just a sitting duck as soon as LaVille was on his outside.
Can you believe how far off those 2 drivers Wood was when that move began?
And then you can look at Andrew Wood, who did the exact same thing, just got the move capitalized right there, and he made it work. So now, all of a sudden, LaVille is in clean air now. He can run down the top 2 and potentially contend for yet the race lead once again. Looking down the order, we have the battle on for 6th place right now. Robert Groscher having to go at Randy Shoemake. Shoemake, though, going to be up the inside, and Shoemake's going to overtake 6th place by the line. This is a 4-car train right here now. Got Shoemake, Groscher, Hauser, and Niall McBride in the mix of things in the back as well. And he's looking to maybe take a wider arc to try to get a good run off the corner and capitalize as well.
Looks like a little look down the inside here.
A little look down the inside for sure, and still trying to find something to make work for himself here. And, well, not going to quite work out. Groscher still going to hold on with that outside line. The outside line is definitely the much stronger run here at this racetrack, it would seem. And really, Hauser just has nothing for him right now. Is still trying to find somebody to find his way up there, and just really struggling, it seems. Cannot find any way to get up there and contend for that position.
Meanwhile, Shoemake appears to be scampering away here. Maybe you think he'll be able to catch up to Hagen?
Depends if they slow each other down up front, but it's definitely not an impossibility. As now Hauser under fire from Niall McBride to try to have a look up the inside. And that was almost in the wall there for Tristan Hauser. Oh my goodness.
Oh, nail biter.
Nail biting stuff indeed, as we're now a quarter of the way through this race, and all of a sudden Hauser runs real wide off the corner, forced to let off to avoid going into the wall, and that is going to be Niall McBride, who will say thank you very much. Yellow flag is out, and it's for Andrew Wood from 4th place, who has just slapped the inside wall just after taking 3rd place. Lost it all in the zone in turn number 2.
Oh no, it's terrible for Wood.
You do hate to see this, and that's going to put him down to 13th place. Was not able to drive back to the pits, had to get it towed. Watch this as he dove up the inside of Lucas LaVille, and on the throttle, on the exit, looses the back end, slides wide, and he's going to slam the outside wall right there. Hard hit, destroys the rear suspension on that car.
Unfortunate. I was just about to say, if I'm Wood, I'm buying a lottery ticket after seeing that move before, but maybe not so much.
Well, under caution for what is going to be the 3rd time tonight. And so, check that. 3 times tonight we've had 4 different incidents total. So, on our 3rd caution right now, Joshua Chin continues to stay out. Everyone else comes in. This is a dangerous call now for Joshua Chin, who now is really going to be starting to push it on those tires. Robert Groscher is also staying out. And Art McEwen stays out as well, but that's just because he's a lap down. So, all of a sudden, we only have 2 cars on the lead lap that are staying out here. I think that was a big mistake from Chin there.
Yeah, crazy move. I mean, hard to think why you'd want to stay out again. I don't know. He's in love with those tires and just doesn't want to see them go. I don't know.
So drivers starting to come out of the pits now. The race off pit road is won by Lucas LaVille, Ethan Hagen 2nd, Aiken 3rd, Shoemake 4th, Niall McBride in 5th, and the rest of the field follows in behind. So a pretty intense run for sure. And, well, as we continue to run under caution for the 3rd time tonight, let's take a quick moment to step away here, and then we'll give our voices a little rest. And, well, we'll be back after these couple messages. just coming to the end of our third caution here, excuse me, as, well, just about ready to take the green flag here. Chin continues to hold the lead. Robert Grosjean down in second. These two drivers have stayed out, have not pitted since the start of this race, coming to lap 58 now. Everyone else on fresh rubber after coming down to pit road. So, Jim, I think things are about to get wild.
I think they absolutely are. I mean, in terms of race choices, that they're already pretty wild.
Absolutely, and now Chin gets a good launch with Robert Grosjean. The cars in fresh rubber are sitting still behind for a minute, caught napping it would seem. Laville right now, the driver to watch, as he is right now the top of the cars on fresh rubber and looking to really run down your two race leaders. What will the difference be? We're about to see what the difference is between drivers that are 1 lap on their stint and drivers that are almost 60 laps on their stint. Right now, Laville is 1 teammate ahead of Robert Grosjean, who will likely let him through without much of a fight. The question is going to be, what's going to happen when he catches up to Joshua Chin?
You know, as much as we said it was a crazy choice for Chin to stay out, look at him scampering away from these Vortex cars.
And Grosjean, not as willing to let his teammate by as we would have thought, actually cuts him off and forces to back him off into Ethan Hagen here, having another go at it, and Grosjean is not wanting to get out of the way. He's doing whatever he can. Now Laville might try to have to find a way to the inside, but he's got to have to find a way by him quick because his own teammate is holding him up right now, and that's not what you want to see at all. Now Laville manages to finally get to the inside, and it looks like now he's going to be able to take it away. 3 wide for second place, down the back straightaway. Hagen covers the inside line. This is going to get all sorts of crazy. Hagen backs out of it, and wisely at that, but they're still 3 wide behind.
Unbelievable series there. I thought Hagen was going to really be able to make something out of it, but as you said, he did wisely back out of it.
Yes, indeed. So now Robert Grosjean is just dropping spot after spot. He's now under fire from Randy Shoemake, who he's going to have to keep an eye on his beers as well. Now Joshua Chin is the one to keep an eye out for. That's getting tight off at the corner for a hot minute there, but Shoemake looks to be on the inside and is going to be trying to get that spot made here in 1 and 2 if he can manage to keep it out of him. Grosjean gets pushed wide into the dirty stuff on the top side of the racetrack, and that is going to allow Shoemake up into 5th place.
Now Shoemake surely looking to close that gap up to Hagen's car, that blue machine just ahead, and a 4-liter train. I think we're going to have a whole lot of cars in a train here in a second.
And here goes Lucas Laville trying the outside line to get a run on Joshua Chin. Remember, this is 63 laps and about 5 laps on the stint now between Lucas Laville and Joshua Chin. He's going to try the outside again. Laville taking the outside line, punches a hole through. New leader for the first time all day, Lucas Laville.
Bold move. Great racing.
He did the exact same thing earlier on, and he made it work just the same again. Now, it's a battle for 3rd place now as Ethan Hagen having to go Andrew Aiken up the inside. This is in turns 3 and 4 now. Aiken trying to come down to cover, and Aiken's forced to back out.
You got to wonder if Chin is kicking himself right now, thinking, you know what, maybe I should have gone in for those tires.
Well, you're 60 laps on a stint. I think you would want to come in regardless for new tires because you know they're not going to be as optimal as, cars on fresh rubber. Right now, the big battle is between Robert Grosjean and Niall McBride. McBride is pulling the outside line beautifully, trying to secure a 6th place behind in that number 41 machine, and he's doing a fantastic job of doing so. And now Grosjean's under fire again from Tristan Hauser right behind him as well. So Grosjean is still in some serious trouble here. He's just being kept off of the optimal racing line at every point.
There's just a wolf pack of those Vortex cars right there behind him, isn't there?
Now Joshua Chin's about to find himself in a similar situation as well because he's under fire now from Andrew Aiken, who's trying to have a go at things. Well, Ethan Aiken tried 3 wide again. I don't think he'll be quite as bold this time. That's going to get close, though, between Chin and Andrew Aiken. Chin still trying to hang on to the lead. Look out, everybody. And somehow they managed to keep it out of both each other and the wall. Is now Ethan Aiken trying to find a way through.
Laville's pleased with this battle, I'm sure, as he takes, plenty of track position away from these guys.
Oh, absolutely. All this battling is it's only helping Lucas Laville right now as now Chin once again under fire from Aiken. Can Aiken get it secured this time? Gonna push wide off of turn 2 and muscles Chin up and Chin right next to the wall, still trying to get a run. The outside line is still better whether you're on old rubber or fresh rubber. Clearly, it's just the mid-corner speed. You got to try to get locked down, and now Chin finally loses out in 2nd place. Ethan Aiken trying to make sure he loses 3rd as well.
I'm sure these drivers are saying to themselves, I got pets that are younger than this guy's tires. I can probably push him a little bit.
Oh, absolutely. It's going to be this is going to be a good fight too, because Joshua Chin, as we know, he's a really, really good driver, especially on the oval scene, and it looks like he's just going to bow out of that one. Could he potentially try to go for an over-under? It's what he looked like he was trying to do. Didn't quite manage to get there, though. So Joshua Chin looks like he just kind of gave that spot up to Ethan Hagen, recognizing he was not going to really be able to make a whole lot on him. So decided not a battle worth fighting. Ethan Hagen, I think, just scraped the wall. He did. He scraped the wall just a little bit off of turn number 2, and he's got some damage to that right side pod now.
We're going to see that again here.
Just off of turn number 2, so keep one eye here on Ethan Hagen, who pushed just a little too wide and had some small contact. It was the lightest of brushes and just bumped in that side pod just a little bit. I don't think it's enough that it's going to affect his performance, but it was definitely close to having to be that way, as just the lightest of bounces saw him just kind of hit the wall, and now the gap has kind of formed up between himself, and right there you saw the lightest of brushes. It was just so borderline, and he's it's not a whole lot. It's definitely almost unnoticeable, but Hagen is doing a really good job right now trying to find some way to still try to reel in the gap. But Joshua Chin, I think right now Chin is actually elected to save some fuel here while he can.
Still a pretty terrifying wake-up moment there. You know, we got a lot of racing left to go. You don't need to be bouncing off the wall.
Indeed, don't need to be bouncing off the walls just yet. We've seen a couple drivers do that already today, so it's unfortunate for those drivers that did decide to do that, because I can almost guarantee you, if you try to fight with a wall with one of these cars, the wall will win, and then some, every single time.
Absolutely. They're not built for that. Built for speed, certainly, and aerodynamics, naturally.
No, they're more, the walls are more built for durability, and right now they have been holding up with some very, very hard hits, so right now the field is starting to split up just a little bit more, partially due in part to Joshua Chin and Robert Grosch kind of splitting things up as the field on fresh rubber tries to work their way through. We're at the point now, though, where, you know, drivers are now going to start feeling the fall off on the tires, even on the fresh rubber, where, you know, the performance output you could get on the fresh rubber is just going to be marginal at this point, and it really won't be worth it. So, I mean, Luke Seville did a very good job to capitalize while he can. Thing is, though, Andrew Aiken has reeled him back in when he was in clean air, and now we could see another fight for the lead in their hands here pretty soon.
I think we certainly will, just judging by the way Aiken was able to catch him up. Looked like a little look to the inside there, but Laville covered him off. I think we got to see a move here within the next couple of laps.
Oh, and the caution comes out, so we're not going to see move within the next few laps, because the yellow flag has just come out for another spin, it looks like, off of turn number 2, excuse me. And that was Joshua Chin that did a full 360 spin and saved it to bring out the yellow. Take a look back here, and we're going to see Joshua Chin definitely doing a very good job showing the skill he can have. Watch as the tires finally gave way, loops it around, and manages to go for a little spin right in front of the pack, and good job on the other cars to manage to get around him and not make that worse than it had to be. Joshua Chin, well, I think if he wasn't going to come down for tires last time, he kind of has to now at this point.
Yeah, the signals are certainly getting more and more insistent that he needs good tires on his car.
Indeed. So, you know, quite the convenience spin for Joshua Chin, in all honesty, as once again we're seeing some strategy calls being made. It's going to be Laville to lead them down. Andrew Aiken stays out to inherit the race lead. Randy Shoemake with him. So it's another interesting call. Jan Hoffman stays out to inherit third place. So a couple drivers coming on down as well. So Joshua Chin looks like this could be his chance to try to fight his way back up through the order if he doesn't slide through his pit stall. It came close, but going to pop that car up onto the jacks, get himself 4 tires. Definitely not going to be the first car off pit road. So Chin, all of a sudden, that's quite a bit of work for him to do if he's going to find his way back up to the front of the field.
Well, you're right. I think we're seeing the effects of a little bit of hubris here. I think he stayed out the first time and thought, yeah, that was the right call. And then not so sure it was the right call those last time or two.
Yeah, it was honestly a bit of a surprise to see it all half the field and then the entire field coming down, and Chin just stayed out. And you wonder if he made the call himself or if somebody made the call for him. Whatever the case, it was clearly a bad call, one that he did not benefit from in the slightest, because now he's just made more and more work for himself.
Well, I think we've all had those moments. I know I certainly have.
I mean, heck, I can remember one thing that happened last night. Or not last night, but a couple nights ago. Somebody took 2 tires on a road course in a stock car. You really need to take 4 tires on a road course when you're that far into a run, but, it happened, so ended up losing the race because of it. So would it be the first time that, pit calls have led to all of a sudden races being completely blown out of the water? And right now, Joshua Chin, he's sitting down in 7th place right now, so he does have himself some serious work ahead of him. Because we've seen that it's far from easy to pass here with the different runs you can get off the different lines.
Definitely difficult, but not by any means not impossible. It is made a little bit easier if the person you're attempting to pass on has got tires older than your kids.
Yes, absolutely. So that's going to be a key thing here as well. And do you want to mention that there is an actual, there is a little bit of banking on these cars. Right by the apron, it is completely flat. And on the, right by the wall, there is 1 degree, exactly a single degree of banking. That little bit of banking, though, appears to be enough to be able to really get the run off of the corners. And it just shows you how every little characteristic of a racetrack does matter when you're planning into your race strategy.
No question about it. And we saw that, we saw that race strategy with Shoemake was using it well, I thought, of course, until he had a touch and a problem.
Indeed, and so now we just gotta wait and see what's gonna happen on this restart. It's gonna be now realistically between Randy Shoemake and Andrew Aiken, 2 drivers that have not found themselves in these top spots all race until now. And of course, drivers that did stay out, should mention as well. They did come down on the last caution, stayed out on this one though, along with Jan Hoffman.
Yeah, I was just going to mention, look at your boy Jan Hoffman. A little bit of bad luck early in the race, maybe a small bad call, and there he is in P3.
Indeed, so there he is, Jan Hoffman, running up there in 3rd place. Probably not going to stay there for too long, granted. Here you can see the rising and falling throughout this race. The driver that's gained the most has been Niall McBride of 8 spots, and that number 41 machine, he's up to 6th place right now. Some of the drivers that have dropped the most have, of course, been Andrew Wood and Wilson, who I don't think they quite count because both of them have been involved in accidents and have since retired from the race. So, some drivers have, of course, sat even. The only driver that has sat completely even so far from the start of this thing has been Caleb Weekly. Andrew Aiken, though, Shoemake, and Hoffman all have gained 7 and 4 spots respectively. So, they've been having a good run of things up in the front, too. So, we'll have to see if this little pit call is going to help things out, as we are, of course, about half a lap now to the green flag, or away from that now. And the pit calls have definitely been a very, very interesting one throughout this race. We've already been seeing pit strategies from the drop of the very first caution. It's why I like oval racing so much more, because on these yellows, you have a lot more room to really play around with your strategy, I've noticed.
Really is a little bit more of a chess match.
A chess match, indeed, where the pieces move at about 180 miles an hour apiece. So Andrew Aiken now takes to the green, a beautiful launch from him on Randy Shoemake, and Jan Hoffman caught napping. Lucas LaVille pounces before they even get to the start-finish line, and he's up into 3rd place already.
LaVille's saying to himself, hey, I've led this race. This is my race. I'm going back to the front.
Want to mention as well, Jan Hoffman is a teammate, so could have been another team call to maybe let LaVille through early because he's on the fresh rubber. And already Shoemake having some troubles as well because now he's about to drop a spot. And Randy Shoemake is just dropping like a rock here. Might have had a bit of an out-of-shape moment in one of these corners because he's lost a lot of time. LaVille is up into the next position. Shoemake is dropping like a rock right now in terms of speed, and Andrew Aiken is just rocketed away from the field.
I mean, it's millimeters out there. Just you put a foot the tiniest bit wrong, and you lost your place.
Oh, yes, absolutely. We've seen it time and time again in this race alone. And we're going to see it time and time again in not just this race, but throughout the rest of the season as well. That is just the nature of IndyCar racing. You have to make sure that everything is key. IndyCar racing is very much precision racing. I see Robert Grosjean in the back trying to work his way through the field, and meanwhile as well, Joshua Chin having to go at Jan Hoffman. So Hoffman going to drop outside the top 5, maybe trying to out-drag Joshua Chin to the line. So the 93 machine still fighting and kicking as he tries to work his way back up through the field.
I was just watching Egan slot back in there. Looks like he's having a little battle with Shoemake here, yeah?
Oh, that's going to get real close and almost contact. Might have even been made there. Shoemake forced to bow out as Egan muscles his way through. Joshua Chin going to capitalize on the little mistake there and put himself up into 4th place. Now, right on the back end of Ethan Hagen. Now, here's the question. If he can get by Hagen, can he run down 2nd to 1st place before Hagen finds his way back to them? Or is Schumacher going to ruin that by having to go up the inside?
I'm liking Schumacher's track position here, but we'll see what Chin can do. Yeah, he makes it, keeps him away for now.
Keeps him away for now. That is the key phrase, is of course for now, and it really is oval racing and a half. And look at that as we take a look to the replay. That was Ethan Hagen that had a huge lunge up there. One other driver's having a lunge is right now Lucas Laville, who's in the middle of a battle with Andrew Aiken for the lead. That was from the air. Again, that really close call, but Laville tried to have a go at Andrew Aiken into the corner. Didn't quite work out for him in 3 and 4. He's trying to have another go here off of turns 1 and 2. Laville is getting aggressive as he dives it up the inside, down the back straightaway, and into 3 and 4. Will he slide wide? Aiken's trying to pinch him down. That's almost going to be caught as well as the end of the same lane. And right now, it looks like Laville has finally secured that spot.
I tell you, that's the kind of race that I'm here to see. That's what I like right there.
So the 29 machine off and away with the race lead. Can Andrew Aiken try to run him down? You do have the draft in these cars down the straightaways, so that's going to be crucial for Andrew Aiken if he can really get that running and maybe even back him up to the point where Ethan Aiken and Joshua Chin get into this fight, as Aiken's actually going to let Joshua Chin go without much of a fight at all. So interesting move there from Ethan Aiken.
Yeah, that I'm not sure why that happened, unless maybe he thought he owed Chin one for some reason.
I mean, Chin is the one that's fighting for a position right now, so that would definitely explain it if you ask me, if you know that one guy ahead of you is fighting for the title. So that, and you got to mention as well that he potentially might be using Joshua Chin to bridge the gap because he knows Chin's faster than him. Don't fight him. Use him as a tow to get yourself up there to the leaders. It's a good strategy call, and once again, props to our producer Connery for pointing this one out to us.
Yeah. Good strategy call if you can stay on his gearbox. If you let him get away from you, it doesn't work out so good.
Still trying to go at it, and behind you see Tristan Hauser just completed the pass around the outside of Randy Shoemake. Off of turn number 4, muscled his way by as well. So the passes around the outside are becoming more and more prominent here in this race. They were kind of few and far between early on. They've been growing a lot more steady as we continue to run ourselves down to the halfway point in this race. Just about 7 or 8 laps away from it now, as I'll tell you what, this race has definitely been very, very good so far. A lot of drivers have been having a really good go at things. It looks like a lot of guys having some serious fun as well. And now we can see the field is starting to split themselves up quite a bit here.
They are, but we've really had everything that you could possibly want in this race. I mean, it's just been, it's really been a thrill ride from start.
Oh, absolutely. It has been an absolute thriller. You know, from start to, well, not quite to finish, but start to present at least. So this is, it's been a really good race, and I don't doubt that the thrills are definitely far from over yet, as things tend to, you know, kind of settle down towards the midpoint of these races. And then at the end, that's where things start to get all sorts of hectic again.
Well, you make a point, but at the middle of the race, I also feel like that's where the sort of chess moves that we were talking about earlier really come into play. If you can catch another team, you know, sort of having a dull moment or losing focus for a second, boy, you can really make up some track.
Green flag pit stops are, of course, going to be a talking point as well. If we can get far enough ahead, that's where we're going to end up coming on out. So we're going to have to keep an eye on that as well. If drivers start to come down under the green flag for another pit stop, and so far, any pit stops made have been under the yellow flags, and we should mention as well that if there are too many more cautions, we are going to be wary of time. Of course, there is a 2-hour time limit on top of the 200 laps in this race. We're right now at 53 minutes for the session, so we're almost halfway for both the time and the laps. So that's another thing that's good to note as well.
Okay, Nolan, let's say you're Lucas Laville. You're running out front. You got a little bit of track. Would you rather see cautions or no cautions?
If you're Lucas Laville right now, I think you'd rather see no cautions, because right now he has been gapping the field by quite a bit. Should mention that Ethan Hagen, who you said might have been trying to use Chin to bridge the gap, has dropped back significantly. So, like you said, for it to work, you need to stay on the gearbox. He hasn't stayed on the gearbox. So Chin is slowly pulling away with 3rd place, and he's starting to shrink it a little bit more, but I think Laville would be a guy that's wanted to see some more green flag runs right now.
You know, on the one hand, you feel like it's great to stay green because we can race, and that's what we're here to do. But if we have cautions, that kind of shakes things up. If you're running out front, you probably don't want to see a caution, but then again, you don't want to have to take a green flag pit. I mean, you lose a lot of track doing that.
Just a couple laps away from the halfway point at this point in time. Lucas Lavilla is slowly losing time behind to Andrew Aiken. It was a 23.2 last time by, a 23.24 for Andrew Aiken, so about a hundredth of a second further down the order. So still waiting on we are, of course, still waiting to see if that gap is going to close on down. Niall McBride, meanwhile, looks like he's trying to complete a pass on Randy Shoemate. This is the battle for 7th place on the circuit. Shoemate trying to find something up the inside. Can he make it work? The answer will be no. It's going to be 7th place, all said and done for Niall McBride.
Looked to me like Shoemake had the concentration and the commitment there. I'm not sure that he had the grip to make it work.
If we go great into the end of this race, we should get this race done within, just over a half an hour thereabouts. So that's what, of course, the hope is, as now we are officially halfway through this race, and Tristan Hauser having a close call there with Robert Groscher off of the final corner. And, of course, these two drivers are they are teammates, keep in mind. So Vortex Sim Racing team is still having to go at each other, it would seem. As, Hauser having a look at the inside, he is, so teammates or not, looks like they still do want to race. They want to race hard. Will Groscher fight back up the outside, gets forced wide, and off the racing line, cannot capitalize on the run as a result of that.
Glad they managed to keep that clean. Some really close racing out there.
Of course, a lot of these drivers are still wanting to see these green flag runs, and Laville is definitely going to be one of those. He does not want the field to close up back in. It's the last thing he wants right now. Really, you want a yellow flag to come out right at the end of a tire stint, because that means you can come on down, get the tires changed, you can most likely keep your position at the same time.
Yeah, I think Egan would be a big winner right now for a yellow. McBride would like to see that just to be able to close up those gaps.
Yes, Ethan Egan. He's going to be a big driver that wants to really get those gaps closed in, because right now he's under threat from Tristan Hauser. And you got a few of those drivers that are going to want the yellow. You got to make sure that you are not the cause of the yellow, as Hauser makes an aggressive dive to the inside, and that's going to be Aiken. A little bit of a bobble on the edge of the corner, forced wide, and well, that's going to be down to 5th place, and potentially might lose another one here to Robert Groscher.
I feel like Egan at this point let Chin around so that he could maybe follow him. And now I feel like Egan's maybe let Hauser around so he can follow him back to Chin.
Indeed. So, well, you'd hope that that's a strategy, but the problem with that is, Jim, is the last time he tried it with Joshua Chin, it didn't work out so well, and he ended up losing a lot of time as a result of it.
You're absolutely right. Sometimes you send a spider after the fly, and then you have to send a snake after the spider, and a dog after the snake. Yeah,
so, it does sometimes end up being that way. And, sometimes things don't quite work out. I think it was potentially a call that didn't work out for Egan. Either that, or maybe just let Chin by because he knew he was faster and, didn't want to fight too much. We are in the second half of the race now, so at this point, drivers are starting to count down the laps remaining. The leaders are starting to catch Art McEwen as well, so this could be another key factor. Will lap traffic play anything into this race?
It's interesting. We haven't seen lap traffic really throw any kind of wrench into the works so far, but, you make a great point. That could definitely be a little bit of a dice roll for the rest of the race.
Well, as we continue to watch this little do battle for 5th place here, as now Groscher going to have a look up the inside, and looks like he's going to try to have one more look. Will Egan fight back? He is. Egan fighting back on the outside, and he'll do so in great fashion. A textbook defense there from Ethan Egan. The leaders are now just passing by Art McEwen, who is on the top side of turns 1 and 2, and that actually has helped out Lucas Laville by some margin, because he was able to clearly pass the lacquer before the corner, and Andrew Aiken just had his corner entry compromised by the same lapped car. And Joshua Chin had his corner exit compromised.
Nolan, what do you think is going on with Egan here? He, at the beginning of the race, the first 20, 30 laps of the race, he's storming through the field like nobody's business. Now he seems like he's looking for maybe to take a nap and give this up altogether.
Well, Ethan Egan has been one of those drivers, and this is something I've kind of noticed throughout the order. Sometimes drivers are very, very good on the short-term runs. I know a few drivers myself, I'm probably one of those drivers myself where, we're really, really good in like the first 10 laps or so, and after that, things just kind of start to fall apart. You cannot manage to, find any way to, really hang on to the momentum after the first few laps. I think that might be what we're seeing with Ethan Hagen. This is certainly a trend that's been a thing throughout the course of the season. So Robert Groscher still trying to have a look up on him the under here. Groscher is clearly being held up. The problem is that he can't get the pass done on the inside line because there just isn't enough grip down there to really get it done. There's a lot more on the outside where you have that 1 degree of banking.
Absolutely right. I think we've seen a lot of skill out of Egan today. He's been really putting down a great performance for us, but maybe he's just seeing a little bit of sort of mental fatigue. It doesn't seem to us like we've been out there forever, but to the drivers, the minds have got to be getting a little bit tired at this point.
It tends to always feel longer when you're actually out on the racing surface. That's something I've noticed. It always feels longer when you're in the car than if you're just, up in the broadcast booth. This is something that I've kind of noticed as well. And, sometimes it tends to fly by, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes you just kind of have to see and, take it in stride. And right now, Groscher is definitely hounding the back and actually lets off a little bit down the front straightaway. Did not elect to go for a move, so either wasn't happy with the run he got, or he wants to actually or he just wants to, save that little bit of fuel. Makes the look. Once again, though, not actually up to the inside. I think Groscher might be saving a bit of fuel here.
I think you're right. I'm looking into my crystal ball here, and here we go. Here's the move.
Down the front straightaway, it looks like he's finally had enough of waiting. He's going to get that one done. Egan trying to dime it off the corner and get a good run. He has gotten a good run on Robert Groscher. He's going to try to fight back down the back straightaway and into turn number 3 here. Beautiful drive there for Egan, but he's all the way down where there's just no grip at all. Groscher's right where the grip is best, gets the move done, and it looks like Robert Groscher will finally be able to fully hang on to 5th place.
Yeah, I was saying, I think you're absolutely right about Groscher's mindset, but as I was saying, I'm looking into my crystal ball. I feel like Groscher's just thinking to himself, I got this guy. I got my guy. I don't need it. There's no reason to throw it up there right now.
Not unless you're coming up to the last few laps, of course. So, well, we're not quite there yet. Still have over 25% of the race to go yet as, we're crossing over, coming up to lap 118 here in just a little while. And right now, one of the closest battles on tracks is for the lead. Lucas Laville and Andrew Aiken. If you look down, you'll see Aiken has been gaining marginally the past 2 laps. Did lose out a little bit about 3 laps prior. We'll see what the difference is this time. It was a 23.316 for Aiken, a 23.249 for Laville. So Laville did pull just a little bit more on him. He has right now been... Laville's been doing a good job of, sticking it out there as it is. And, these 2 drivers are clearly very, very evenly matched right now. Because sometimes they gain a little bit, sometimes they lose a little bit. It has been marginal in the times gained and lost.
You're absolutely right. Yeah. I'm really loving seeing Chen back up to P3, but your 1 and 2 driver, Laville and Aiken, appear to be getting a little bit of track on him, like scampering away just a little bit.
They are indeed scampering away on Joshua Chin, who right now just ran a 23.3, so Chin has dropped off in pace and looks like has not been able to do it. And I would like to bring up pit stop strategies again because we are getting closer and closer to that pit window. I think right about now we should be good, theoretically, on a 1-stopper for the course of the race. This is just like a rough estimate, but I think we should be good for all these drivers to about take 1 more pit stop for fuel and tires, and then be able to run their way out to the end of the race, assuming this goes green, if they can stretch their run out as far as it can go.
Did I just see in the distance back there, Hauser threatening Chin with a pass?
I think you very much did. Hauser has closed the gap a little bit to Joshua Chin, has not been able to really go for the move yet, has not been close enough. Chin is taking a bit of a tighter line. Hauser's been trying to dime it off the corner. He got pretty close a couple laps ago, as now we're running lap number 122, so less than 80 laps to go now. But Joshua Chin could potentially be under threat here for 3rd place as well, which, a bit surprising because he's won the first 2 ovals. I would have thought that he would have been one of the main contenders to go for a win here today.
Yeah, I would have thought so too, especially seeing him drive through the first part of this race. Honestly, I can't believe that we're on lap 22 right now. This thing feels to me like it's flying by, but I think might see a move here.
Potentially move. Oh, we will not. The yellow flag is out, and that is for Caleb Weekly. And he took out another driver with him, Joshua Chin. That took out Joshua Chin. So Chin all of a sudden has had his hopes of winning this race absolutely dashed in that one.
Oh, no.
That was the one thing we weren't hoping to see, and it was a bobble from Caleb Weekly. Bit of a tank slapper he got in the middle of 2. Tried to correct it, didn't work. Chin, I think, was on a run to the outside, thought that there was more room than there was, and there just wasn't. And there you see it. That was just enough to ruin his night right there. That suspension is destroyed.
Yeah, heartbreaking for Chin. He had to be thinking, maybe there's just enough for me to slide by, and nothing he could do, you know. He's not going to be able to see this car until it's way too late. There it is.
And I mean, the car behind him did get it right. Oh, and Chin has just crashed again, just under the caution flag. Accidentally mashed the throttle, it would seem, and that has just ended his night right there for sure. And almost looked like he'd almost spun out just when he killed the Weekly, the driver that did bring up originally. So, unfortunately there for Joshua Chin, as we took a look at what just happened here under the yellow flag. You'll see cuts back to the right, and I don't know what quite happened on that one, to be completely frank with you.
It looked to me like the suspension was just, I mean, everything about his front setup was way out of whack. You know, the car starts crabbing like that, there's not much you can do.
You know, I have noticed something just now. Lucas Laville has just come out of the pits. Jen Hoffman has stayed out. And I'm not sure if this is correct or not. And it might be either 43 laps on those tires or 71. It's one of the two. But that's an interesting call there when everybody else is coming down to the lane.
You know, I thought we were running a race today. It turns out we're running some kind of an old tires contest.
Yeah, it's interesting to see, you know, what's going to happen here. Now Jen Hoffman comes down to the pit lane. I guess managed to get himself sorted here and decided he was not going to quite go for that one. So it's going to be very, very interesting. So it's interesting. We should note that about 75 laps is the limit. So Hoffman was right on the limit. Keep in mind, there's 75 laps to go in this race now. It's going to be close on fuel right now.
Yeah, you wonder if somebody maybe got in his ear and was like, hey, get into the pits.
Oh yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see what this is going to mean, because a lot of these drivers are not going to be able to, you know, they're going to be very, very close when it comes to making it on fuel right now. While we're here, we may as well give out a shout out to the sponsor of the league, the Virtual Race Car Engineer. It is a software package that includes the Setup Developer Tool and the Virtual Race Car Engineer. These assist both real and virtual racers. The Setup Developer Tool walks the user through a step-by-step process of creating a customized baseline setup, and it does so by asking very, very simple questions about the car type, track type, and of course behavior of the car on track. The race car engineer will further fine-tune the setup to get the most out of the setup, with the engineer offering both whole lap and corner-specific advice. The VRCE will do the very best to get the most out of your car. Both Setup Developer Tool and the Virtual Race Car Engineer can be found in the links below. We are under what I believe is now our fourth or fifth caution of the night here, and we right now have just under 75 laps to go.
So as much as we were talking about Egan maybe having a little bit of mental fatigue, here he is back up in P3, closed up again on Laville and Hauser.
Indeed, so close into the back of Hauser in third place. Should know he is, of course, one of those cars that's on fresh rubber, as now everybody's on fresh rubber now, except for Art McEwen, who's 45 laps on his stint right now. McEwen, of course, 1 lap down, so I can tell you exactly why he's doing what he's doing. He's trying to get a lap back because, and check that, he's going to be coming down to the lane right now. So throwing that lap away, apparently electing he wants to maybe go to the end of the race first. Now we're at the point now where the calamity can really start to take place. You know, in the middle section, you know, drivers can start, you know, kind of take it easy a little bit more. We saw a very long green flag run there, which was very good to see. Now, though, we're now in this final little section of the race. We're coming up to the final quarter. What do you think is going to happen here on this restart, especially now that every driver here is on fresh rubber?
Well, as I say, if I look into my crystal ball, I think we're going to see Egan maybe wake back up a little bit. I mean, we're over the hump now. We're definitely starting to feel the laps start winding down. It's really going to be crunch time. Egan behind him surely wants to make some kind of move, get back up into the sharp point of the race. Of course, Laville and Hauser are going to be contesting for the lead. Will be interesting to see if they're able to make a gap on Egan. Perhaps I'm wrong. Maybe he really is kind of tired of racing, even if even if he's still in the race.
Well, we'll have to see what's going to happen here. The pace car pulls it off, and LaVille gets a great jump right now. And this is going to be good for him as Tristan Hauser. Not the best run from him and Egan, but the top three already off and away by some margin over fourth place. Andrew Aitken, who's trying to right now run down the field.
Well, you know, we were talking about cars that would like to see a yellow flag, and the names that we mentioned were Egan and McBride, and sure enough, they are caught up, as we see, as you say, the leader get away.
Ethan Egan already making an aggressive dive to the inside of Tristan Hauser. Hauser forced up wide. Andrew Aiken might try to capitalize, but can't get himself in there. It's going to be Hauser to slot himself back in the line. Can Hauser try to fight back? Made the look. Couldn't quite make the move, though. A look is a lot easier to do than, you know, make the action move and get it done safely. So Hauser right now content with just running in third place right now. He might see exactly what I might think is happening when Ethan Egan burns up his stuff in the early run and ends up dropping back later on in the run. So right now, I think Hauser might be hoping for a longer run. He's under fire right now, though, from Andrew Aiken, who's going to be up the inside into the final podium position.
Yeah, Aiken was just ready to knock on that.
Oh, no, there we go. Big crash. That's going to be big on the front straightaway. Car stopped in the road. Andrew Aiken, caution is out. And, cautions do breed cautions, as the old adage goes. That all started when Tristan Hauser bounced off the wall, corrected a little bit, and then bumped down into Andrew Aiken, who's just an innocent bystander, as you saw in the replay there. Hooked them both hard into the outside wall. That will end both of their runs for the win real quick here.
You know, I feel like he had room there. I feel like Aiken gave him room, just a little bit into the wall there. Look at all that space.
Right there. That is where he put himself into the wall, bounced back, and just cleaned out the 27 machine. I mean, that is so unfortunate. He had the car steady, but, you know, you're kind of twitchy when that just happened, so the wheel just twitched a little bit, and it was enough to just hook them around. Taking yet one more look on board for things as, it's so unfortunate as we take another look at this, and right there you saw the little twitch as he was trying to still get the car settled down, and it was enough. And again, good job, because I was right in front of the whole field, keep in mind. So really, really good job on the field to get around that without making that bigger than it had to be.
You're right. But you hate to see two guys who've been running up front and really battling for place, such as they have, you know, have an incident like that.
Oh, yeah. It really is not pleasant at all to see as, we just took the look on board with Jan Hoffman now through things as, I'll tell you what, it was a very tough break for them. I mean, a wreck like that was kind of inevitable. We've seen a lot of drivers really pushing their luck with pushing each other wide throughout the midst of things. Before all that happened, Ethan Egan did set the new fastest lap of the race, a 22.758. Andrew Aiken coming back out onto the track. So a good thing for him, he is going to come back out onto the racing surface. Whether he'll be able to contend for a win, though, is going to be a different story. Because I believe he managed to somehow stay on the lead lap there.
You know, maybe he's just, maybe he's waking back up, as I predicted.
Well, we'll have to wait and see exactly what is going to happen here. So, still quite a bit to go yet in this race. Right now, we're at 66 laps to go, and as we continue to pace around under caution, we're once again going to take a quick step aside, and, we'll be back just before we go back green flag racing here in New Hampshire. welcome back to New Hampshire Motor Speedway, coming to the end of yet another caution, coming up to lap 138. It is going to be 63 laps to go once we take the green flag. Lucas LaVille maintains the lead, Ethan Hagen down to second, Groscher third, McBride fourth, Johnny Garrett, haven't mentioned his name a whole lot today, running up there in the fifth position. So Garrett's been having a very quiet day. Now McBride right now has gained the most spots. He started 14th, he's up to fourth right now.
I'll tell you, Nolan, I can't get enough of this race. I'm going to live in this race forever. It has been a thrill ride from the get-go.
It has been a good one, I will give him that. And, you know, these types of races usually are, and now Lucas LaVille is on the throttle once more, and we take to the green flag once again as this field once more thundering themselves down through the order, and Jan Hoffman, I can see, working just past Andrew Hagen. That's the battle for 8th place up front as well. Now McBride under fire from Johnny Garrett. This is the battle for 4th on the racing circuit. The top three managed to get it away clean, and McBride able to hold off around the outside. Nearly glances the wall, but kept it out of it. Cars trying to run each other over, it would seem as well. As you saw, Johnny Garrett just about got run over from behind by Randy Shoemake. Wouldn't have been the first car that Shoemake caused to go around. That was actually the result of about, I believe it was the second caution of the day that this happened between him and Andrew Wood. So right now, Johnny Garrett going on the defensive. Here comes Shoemake trying to charge by on the outside. Can he get the nose in there, make it work? He won't be able to get it in there. He might be able to get a good run here off the exit of the corner if he can capitalize. But right now, Garrett is all over the place on defensive.
Yeah, some big defensive moves from Garrett. Oh!
Woo-hoo! Give it a shot to the back end there of Johnny Garrett. How did they not wreck there?
I have no idea. That was
my
terrifying.
Goodness. Terrifying indeed. I think that's a bit of an understatement there. That was definitely contact. How they did not wreck there is a miracle in of itself. Let's put it that way. So all of a sudden, Johnny Garrett is going to let McBride get away with this one. Ethan Hagen tried to have a look up front for the lead from Lucas LaVille. So Hagen on the prowl and trying to find some way to continue the creeps without there. Diamond enough the corner perfectly to get the run on LaVille down the back straightaway. Will he make the look into 3 and 4, or will he stay in line and try to find some other way through?
I can't believe that Shoemake's car has got a front wing on it still.
Well, some things, you know, are forever mysteries, we'll put it that way.
True enough.
So Lucas LaVille still trying to fend off Ethan Hagen for the lead. Hagen's really good on the short run, at least. We know this for a fact. Now, he's going to look for the lead. Can Ethan Hagen get into the lead for what would be one of the first times all season, keep in mind?
Nolan, what's going through LaVille's mind right now? You're not seeing too much of a defense from him, it doesn't seem to me.
Because he knows that his main title rival right now, Joshua Chin, is fully out of the race. He doesn't need to worry about it. He could finish even down in 8th place. He still might come out with a net gain in overall position in the point standing. So right now, LaVille, he really doesn't need to be all that worried about it right now. That, and if he's been paying attention, he might know that Hagen isn't the best on the long run. Let him burn his stuff up early, and then he can pounce him all over again once he's starting to struggle with tire life again.
Makes sense to me. I mean, that is certainly racecraft. Hagen does appear to be woken to back up here again, but maybe LaVille is thinking to himself, you know, I got to get this car over the finish line.
Well, right now, Ethan Hagen is going to have to figure out if he wants to move or not, because he's in the middle right now of a Vortex Sim Racing sandwich. He's got Lucas LaVille up in front, and he's got Robert Groscher right behind. So if Hagen's going to make a move for that lead, he's going to have to make it soon, or he's going to find himself under fire from the number 3 car.
How much of a gap do they have back to McBride? That's a lot of track.
Right now, the gap is hovering at about a second and a half on the course right now. Jan Hoffman and Johnny Garrett just swapped places as well further down in the field. That was for 6th and 7th place. Right now, all eyes, though, are on this battle for the lead because these 3 cars are having a very, very good go at things. As we take a little look there, you can see the gap. About a quarter of a second to 3/10 separating just the top 3 alone. And Hagen is still caught up in that sandwich. It looks like Groscher is getting a little racy.
Yes, indeed. I was terrified that we might have seen another bounce off the wall there as we did earlier in the race, but you are absolutely right. This is very racy indeed. Hagen, here's a move that has a little look there. And finally, we see a little bit of defense there, I think.
Either that or didn't look like Egan could really dive it in enough. It looked like he kind of realized that it was going to result in a wreck, so he didn't bother to, try to make the look. Just decided to kind of ease out of things, but, that's a good thing as well to see. And here we have it again. Caleb Weekly running in 10th right now. He's a lap down with wing damage, and these leaders are closing up on him fast. Wheatley's going to duck right to the inside and let them on through. That's a good job there for Caleb Wheatley to not get himself involved in the fight. I can guarantee you that's a fight he would not have won.
No, not at all. And he's already played a big factor in the race, which is not the kind of factor that he wanted to play, I'm sure. As these three leaders are pushing up to knocking on the door of a 2-second gap back to McBride.
Knocking on the door indeed. Aiken making the look. Can he actually make the dive, though? He is going to make the lunge down at turn number 1. Will this be the one to make it work? LaVille trying to pinch him down in the apron. That's not going to work out for Aiken. LaVille pulls it away. Aiken's still optimistic, though, they could get it to work, but has to slot back in line, so it didn't quite work out as Grosher starts to drop back.
Didn't quite work out, but as you say, LaVille's got to keep that car clean. He cannot put it into the wall.
He has a very good chance here to, go back to the top of the point standings, and that's exactly what he wants to have happen for him right here. So Lucas LaVille, he's doing everything he can here to definitely come away with what will be the third race win of the season, keep in mind, and the first one of his on the oval. Ethan Aiken, though, trying to get his first win of this championship period.
I think we're certainly seeing a reawoken Aiken here in the latter stages of the race, trying to get around LaVille. I feel like there's a move coming here, but it just doesn't seem like he's quite had his chance yet.
And this goes kind of back into the problem of the dirty air. It is hard once you get up there to work your way up there and actually complete the pass. Not only that, but again, there's not a lot of grip right down on the inside of the racetrack. It's all on the top end. You got to try to find your way up there. LaVille's made 2 passes around the outside as well. You got to remember as well that these cars do have, a whole lot of in-car adjustments you can make. Weight jackers, anti-roll bars, etc., that these drivers can adjust on the fly. So Aiken might have to make a couple adjustments here to get his way through as well. Or maybe the adjustments that he has made are what's hampering him from being able to really go for that maneuver right now.
Well, it looks like we're catching up to a little bit of lap traffic here, so this could certainly throw a monkey wrench into everybody's plans.
Certainly trying to find a way up there still, and LaVille going to get a little held up on the exit there by Art McEwen. This might get tight here, as it's going to be up the inside, and a good thing, Art McEwen sticks to the outside, and Ethan Aiken decided, I'm not quite brave enough to put it 3 wide just yet.
I think Grosser really got caught out there, held up a little bit. He was already hanging off the back of the 2 leaders, although he may be able to close it up.
So we still have a lot of race left to go. We are, of course, still in the final quarter, though, with all those laps to go. 44 laps remaining, or coming to it. About 40, it's going to be 43, laps to go at the line this next time by, as LaVille is still doing a phenomenal job and, hanging on to the lead. And now, I think Ethan Aiken has burned his stuff up as he is starting to drop back, I'm starting to notice. So I think Aiken has finally burned his stuff up, was not able to get it done on the restart.
Well, it would be interesting, and perhaps you looked into your crystal ball and told the tale that LaVille was spinning for us, thinking to himself, this guy, as you said, really likes to go hard when he's got fresh tires and pays the price a little bit later on.
Yes, indeed. And, this is one of the problems about pushing really hard early on. You'll lose the ability to really go for positions in the latter run of things. And we're going to turn our eyes right back down to Randy Shoemake, who makes a huge duck to the inside of Art McEwen. That was almost contact. Bit of a gutsy maneuver there from McEwen. That was up the inside of Art McEwen. Of course, keep in mind, Shoemake was up the inside of Art McEwen, who was a lap down. And I guess Shoemake did not expect McEwen to come back up onto the racing line. And I checked him up a little bit and almost put him within firing distance of Jan Hoffman.
Yeah, that's going to be a I'm going to need a new racing suit kind of a moment there, if I may say so.
Definitely one of the sharpest maneuvers to try to get out of a wreck that we've seen yet this race. We've seen, a lot of kind of sharp maneuvers throughout the course of things, but that definitely takes the cake out of them so far.
So now Shoemake looking to close the gap up to McBride, I'm sure, and contest for P4. That is, if Hoffman doesn't make him fight him off for P5.
Oh, absolutely, and this is part of the problem right now for Schumacher, is the fact that he is losing time steadily to fourth place. Schumacher's last run was a 23-1. It was a 23-2 for Niall McBride, so gained about a tenth that time by. Looking up front, though, to the battle between Ethan Hagen and Robert Groscher. So Ethan Hagen has dropped back, and now Groscher's looking to make this a Vortex Sim Racing 1-2.
Big look down the inside there. Boy, that looks like a strong pass. Hagen almost let him go, seemed to me.
Not quite. Hagen's going to try to fight back on the undercut here in the corner, but still can't make it work. You can do this in stock cars pretty easily. Not so much in Indy cars. I think this position belongs to Robert Groscher, who now has safely once again put Vortex Sim Racing into a 1-2 position. Exactly what they wanted to see today.
Look at McBride back there. Was once 2 seconds off these three leaders. Now carved that down to under a second. And he might be able to also catch up to Hagen and make a pass for the podium position.
Indeed, now McBride still trying to make that pass for the podium as Ethan Hagen has continued to drop back. It's a little out of shape on the extra turn 4, kept things together, but had to jump to the middle groove, so that slowed him up big time. Ethan Hagen's last lap time was a 23.5, a 23.1 for McBride. So now, all of a sudden, Ethan Hagen, he's nearly half a second slower every lap compared to the other lead lap cars. That confirms it pretty much. He's great on the short run, not so good on the long run. He currently does hold the fast lap again of a 22.587 on the circuit.
McBride, the last great hope for the Chimera team, I think, out there. I think he will indeed catch up to Hagen.
Yeah, now McBride right now is just trying to get Chimera once again onto the podium. They've been on the podium just about every single race this season. He's trying to put him up there again after Joshua Chin encountered just the misfortune of nowhere to go and ended up destroying the suspension on that car when he got collected with the car in what brought out, I think it was either the last caution or a caution just maybe 2 cautions ago to bring that one out. But it was definitely unfortunate for Joshua Chin, who needed the good racer to extend his lead, and he's yet finding himself once more watching things from the paddock.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to see a Christmas card from Chin to Weekly's house on account of that particular incident.
Yes, it's again something you don't like to see something like that happen. It's just unbelievably unfortunate. It's a huge shame, and it's a shame that it had to happen to Joshua Chin, one of the fastest guys in the field. Still, though, this does create another good battle for the title lead because Lucas Laville is still out there, still trying to put in those lap times. And meanwhile, though, here goes now McBride trying to maybe look to the outside here, trying to run down Ethan Hagen. He's all over the gearbox. He's going to be looking to get him done and settled as soon as possible.
I think we're seeing him take that sort of high line in 3 and 4 to try to get a run on Hagen. Hasn't quite worked for him yet, but time will tell.
Time will tell indeed. So right now, Ethan Hagen still running his way out there. We got 30 laps left to go now. We are on lap 171 out of 200. About half an hour to go on the clock as well. So at this point, we are looking to be good on the time limit. So now McBride still trying to run it down. And now we're going to see a big lunge up the inside from McBride in turn number 3. And Ethan Hagen cuts across to cover him off. And McBride is going to have to recollect and get himself again. He lost a lot of time, though, with that failed overtaking attempt.
That was a door slam if I've ever seen one.
Talk about slamming the door shut and slapping your visitor in the face while you're at it.
Meanwhile, it looks to me like Shoemake back there is making up some time on McBride with all this fighting.
That is true. You know, you do, of course, have Randy Shoemake who's starting to close in the gap as well. And this is one of the really the kind of the side effects of going side by side. It does slow you up significantly in your run to try to run down the race leaders. It is going to be interesting because, like you said, the last pit stop cycle was in the last caution. That was about what we still had, nearly 75 laps to go. You can make it about 75 laps in clean air. So this is going to be a really crucial question. Is going to be fuel. This could come down to a fuel mileage race even. It wouldn't be the first time that we've seen it, but we haven't seen a fuel mileage race in quite some time. But it's one of those things now where it is looking like that is more and more certainly going to be the case at this point, because right now these drivers have definitely used over half the tank already. We still have 25 laps to go.
So who do you think the fuel would hurt the worst? Possibly drivers like Egan, who really are, not to say overdriving the car, but being really aggressive?
What I'm noticing as well is the fact that you got to remember as well that Ethan Egan and Niall McBride, they were about a second faster on their stop than the top two, so that alone might make things quite awkward on fuel. As there goes Niall McBride, completing the pass around the outside of Ethan Egan to finally get it done of a turn number 2, and now McBride is going to be set and secured to run down third place runner, second place runner, Mr. Robert Groscher. So this could be interesting to see how things will be awkward on fuel. So that's another thing, potentially fuel saving going on here as well.
Yeah, that was a demonstrative pass to go on the outside like that.
Randy Shoemaker's closing the gap as well to Ethan Egan and still trying to find his way to work his way to the front as well. Shoemaker right now is about half a second faster a lap than Ethan Egan.
Well, he certainly closed right up to him, and as we know, Shoemaker is not scared to make a move.
And it would seem, I hope things are now.
There goes Shoemaker on Egan. Definitely having a big look.
Big look, finally managed to make something up the inside. I do apologize for some of the technical difficulties on my end, it would seem, as that was really close as well, as now finally Ethan Egan forced to back out, and he's lost fourth place.
Looked to me like the rear of Shoemaker's car was stepping out there on the exit of that turn. Lucky that he managed to keep it out of the wall.
That kept it out of the wall indeed, and now this will be the question of for Shoemaker. Canning trying to run down fifth place. You do have lap car or do battling amongst each other as well, as Andrew Aiken is just ahead of this field now. This is going to get tight between some of the lap traffic. Some of the stuff that we said, might come into play. You got Andrew Aiken and arguing that these guys worked there through ninth place on the racetrack. Shoemaker is going to be out the inside, and it looks like Ethan Aiken is looking to follow.
Looked to me like the big loser from all of that was McBride, who's now got Shoemaker right over his shoulder. Shoemaker's apparently done with Egan altogether.
Oh yeah, he's definitely done with it for sure. He is trying to find some way to absolutely run him down right now. And Ethan Egan, I don't know if he's fuel saving or if he's trying to find some way to close his way back up, or if he's just burned all his stuff up. But he is losing more time to Jan Hoffen in sixth place as well. So this is going to be really crucial here for Jan Hoffen, as he's still struggling to try to find some way to, find a way to work his way up there as well.
Doesn't look like much but a few hundredths between McBride and Shoemaker's lap times, but Shoemaker is closing it right up to McBride.
Shoemaker is definitely trying to close it to Niall McBride, and this is going to be really crucial here in the battle for third place. The final step on the podium right now is exactly what Shoemaker wants to see here, and Shoemaker is on a charge. He wants to find a way up there. He was a 10th faster than McBride on the last lap alone. Right now, the gap between the two is about 0.3 of a second, and it is closing.
There's a terrifying puff of smoke on the track there. Somebody might have locked up their tires, possibly.
Certainly a possibility for sure, and it wouldn't surprise me if we've seen something like that happen. It wouldn't be the first time we've seen stuff like that happen today, with all the calamity that we kind of saw in the early sections of the race. And not that, tires are going to be starting to run down too, so that could be another crucial factor. Maybe drivers are starting to struggle with tire life significantly here, and that could be what we were seeing. Maybe somebody got the back end, stepped out a little bit there, and that's what caused a little puff of smoke.
Well, Shoemaker has indeed caught it up to McBride, and I'm positive that he'll be looking to make a move here.
Indeed, almost going to be positive as well, as Shoemaker he's closed in so quickly over the past few laps. There is nothing that says Shoemaker will not make a look here on Niall McBride. He is all over the gearbox. He's going to be trying to find some way through, coming up to about 10 laps remaining. If he's going to make the move, it would have to be now.
Does seem like the opportune moment. He knows it's got to come. They both know it's got to happen.
Behind him as well, Jan Hoffman is just making a look on Ethan Hagen, just was on the inside in the middle of the corner, but here comes Randy Shoemake trying to have a look down the front straightaway. He's going to get this one sorted. No, he will not. Bob was just a little bit at the apex and is forced to slot back in line.
Unfortunate there for Shoemake, I'm sure, but he doesn't lose too much time. Still all over McBride. Sure, we'll see another move here soon.
Oh yeah, he's definitely closing in that fast. Look at the run down the front straightaway here. Not going to make the look into turn one, interestingly enough. He was close enough that he could have made it work, but he decided to maybe try it again in 3 and 4. That's where we see more passes in this race than a 1 and 2, so maybe trying to the other end of the racetrack, seeing if you have more luck in there.
Maybe being a little bit extra cautious. Oh! I was just going to say a little extra cautious on account of the tire life.
A bit cautious, not so much, as he nearly runs over McBride just ahead of him. So, my goodness, that was an intense one for sure. They almost cleaned each other out, and they're fine now. But Shoemake is still trying to have a big look now up the inside into 3 and 4. He's got 10 laps to go to make it work, and he's got to find somebody to get around him now. This is the time where you cannot sit around and wait any longer than this.
Shoemake is wishing that back straight was just 10 yards longer so he could get his nose underneath McBride's car.
They've now caught up to Andrew Adair Saunders, more lap traffic, this time in 8th place. Both cars forced off the optimal line down the inside. Which of them can adapt the more? It looks like Shoemake's exit was compromised by Saunders. That is going to allow now McBride to extend the gap just a little bit more.
A little bit of breathing room for McBride now. I'm sure he's thinking to himself, good, I got rid of that car, but here comes Shoemake right back up against him.
Right up against him and still trying to find something to make it work, as now McBride taking to the outside line. Can he make it work? And he's losing time. He's just losing so much time right now. A little look to the inside for McBride as he tried to go defensive. Shoemake trying to find the inside line, getting the door shut on him by McBride as they thunder down the back straightaway once more.
Meanwhile, with all this racing going on, the laps have been ticking away. Now on 193 of 200, Shoemake has got to make this happen.
He has to make this happen. I think at this point, Lukesville almost has this race won. That was a look trying to make going defensive, and McBride is forced to go to the outside line, cuts across Shoemake mid-corner, and Shoemake not able to make the move as well. This is a great battle you were seeing for this final podium position.
Exactly. This is what we're here to see. This right here.
Still very, very close and has a really good run on him as well. So this is going to be crucial. Should know, Ethan Hagen went down to the pit lane. He was not safe on fuel. So Ethan Hagen had to make another stop. Meanwhile, Shoemake up in the 4th place. Here comes McBride with the run around the outside. Now it's a question of, do these guys have fuel? McBride gets stopped into the corner. Will that bring out a yellow flag? It will. Does this end the race?
Oh, no.
I think that just ended the race right there. That is not how you want a battle to end at all. McBride getting absolutely sent into the turn 4 wall. Suspension destroyed. It looked like Shoemake, and then they were just getting too aggressive, hard into the outside wall. Not at all what you want to see.
Not at all. That looked like an unforced error to me.
Should mention that Shoemake did borderline the exact same thing in turn 1 earlier in this race. It's not the first time Shoemake was in a position like that. This is the second time where it was like carbon copy incidents where it went wrong in that way, just on the opposite end of the racetrack. That is not good at all. We're either going to be at a 1-lap dash or at a checkered flag here, because this is so close to the end of this race. Now the question is, does this race end on the yellow or not?
What an unbelievable series of events. Sorry to see that. We were watching an unbelievably exciting battle there. I've gnawed my fingernails down to nothing. And you're right, we saw the same thing from Shoemake before. It didn't look like it, to me, that looked like an unforced error from McBride, just losing the rear of the car.
There was definitely a little bit of contact because it just shot around so suddenly. It was wheel-to-wheel contact. It did look almost like McBride came down across the nose as he was trying to turn in. We're coming up to 3 laps to go now. So this is going to be the question as to what is going to happen here. Already the pit road has been opened up for the lead lap cars. It's now open for cars a lap or more down. I think there might be a vague possibility for one lap dash. Not sure the hopes are quite that high, though.
Meanwhile, look at who we have in P3, Nolan. It's your buddy, Jan Hoffman.
Would you look at that? I mean, we never thought Jan Hoffman would really be up there, would we? He started in 10th place. He's up into 3rd now. I mean, look at Johnny Garrett as well. He's in 4th place. He was also, started 13th. He's up to 4th now. So that's a net gain of 9 positions. Of course, you got Randy Shoemake still rounded out the top 5.
There's going to be a big old pizza party in the Vortex Racing Garage tonight, I think.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, for sure. So, well, it's going to be the case now. We're about to get our confirmation as to whether this race will end under yellow or not. If the lights are still on this time by at the line, then it will be ending under the caution flag. If the lights go out this time, we'll have a one-lap sprint. It's almost waited with bated breath now to figure out what in the world is going to happen here with this yellow flag here. As across the line, lights are still on. This race is officially over. Lucas Laville, ladies and gentlemen, is your winner.
Well, we certainly had some unexpected things happen, but an unbelievable race from the very beginning.
Oh, yeah. It was certainly a very good race. Unbelievable from the very beginning. Certainly not the way we wanted to see the race end, for sure. I mean, it's, again, one of those incidents where it happened. It's, I guess, water under the bridge now, but I imagine Randy Shoemake will have 2 drivers that he might not be getting Christmas cards from at the end of the year here.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think, yeah. Unfortunate. I don't think that there was any malice in those 2 incidents, but, yeah. There's,
for sure.
Tempers do run high.
I mean, it is racing. That's just the end of it. Contact is made. Racing is a contact sport, especially at a track like New Hampshire. So, it's something that you just kind of got to take it all in stride as things go. Some races end the way you want to. Some races don't end the way you want to. This, unfortunately, was not one of those races that ended the way McBride wanted it to. White flag has been displayed with the yellow. And now we just have to wait a few more seconds before the results will become official. This has saved everybody that wasn't saved on fuel. Ethan Hagen, though, I mean, that was going to be really close on fuel if that ran out green. Yeah.
Yeah, unfortunate series of events for Hagen, who had to dip in for a splash. Got to be feeling like, geez, if I just waited for a few more seconds.
Just a few more seconds, and, well, the thing is, when you're in the driver's seat, you often aren't thinking of stuff like that. You're just thinking, I want to get out there as quick as I can, get things back rolling. You often don't think about, will I make it to the end like 75 laps later? I know I certainly wouldn't be thinking about that in that case.
You're right. You're absolutely right.
Well, this is it here. 200 laps have gone by. The pace car will lead the field off of turn number 4 for the final time today. It is going to be a Vortex Sim Racing 1-2 for Lucas Laville and Robert Groscher. It's the 3rd race win of the year for Laville, who will like to retake the points lead, and Andrade Saunders takes a slide after the checkered flag.
Yep, that is something that we often see at the end of these races, lighten up the rears and sending the car around. And here is your winner, Laville, and hats off to him for doing it.
And now McBride is back out onto the track once again. It looks like he did want to finish this thing on the course. He's just now off turn number 4 and trying to get himself across the line, limping across. So props to McBride for, getting the car back out on the track and trying to, get himself up there as well as he could. And it is a big shame for, him, but what's happened has happened. And, well, I think at this point, we can about run through your post-race results here. Laville going to really burn it down here and celebrate, hopefully on the front straightaway. Might not have the fuel to do it. There it is. So Lucas Laville going to get on the throttle and give us a little bit of a show here on the front straightaway. Behind him, you can see Andrade Saunders doing the exact same thing right behind him. So a pair of double donuts for us today here on the front straightaway of this beautiful speedway here in New England. It was certainly a good one. You had some long green flag runs. You had some quick yellows as well. And unfortunately, he did have to end under yellow. not what we wanted to see, but you know, that is just how things go sometimes. So Lucas Laville takes the win. Robert Groscher kicks things off in second place as we take a look at your post-race results now. Jan Hoffman sitting it down in third, Johnny Garrett fourth, Shimek rounding out the cars in the lead lap in fifth place, Andrew Adair Saunders down in sixth, Ethan Hagan seventh, Aitken, Weekly, and McBride will round out the top 10 drivers that did not finish the... Art McEwen down 11th place. Now for the drivers that did not finish the race, Tristan Hauser, Joshua Chin, Andrew Wood, Jamie Wilson, Jonathan Diggs, and Logan Simmons. Simmons, of course, did not even make it 5 laps into the race. He was the result of our first yellow after slamming hard into the outside wall in turn number 2. Well, my goodness, Jim, what a race. I mean, this was honestly just an unbelievably incredible race here today. It really was.
Yeah, you're right. I had a ball. And we should mention, you know, as much as we've made a lot of the, you know, finishing under yellow and all of that, we should point out Laville really did race for the win. He didn't back into the win. He was leading, you know, I mean, it was his race.
Yes, indeed. So now we are going to take we're going to take a quick step away and just wait for some of these drivers to come on down and go to give us a little chat. We'll be right back with your RaceSpot TV post-race show here on the iRacing Esports Network.
The most realistic online racing sim.
Well, welcome back to RaceSpot TV for the post-race show here on the iRacing Esports Network at New Hampshire Motor Speedway after a thrilling 200 laps for the VRCE Classic Indycar Series. for round number 7. It has been a very fun race. It's been a hard-fought race for a lot of drivers. And I think, though, the driver that is going to be celebrated the most is going to be none other than Lucas Laville, who did come away the first out of a Vortex Sim Racing 1-2. And, well, Lucas Laville, 200 laps later, first oval in some time. No doubt this is exactly how you wanted to kick things off.
Exactly. Vortex 1-2-3, I might add. First finish of the season for Jan and first top 3 of his career. So that's pretty good result for us indeed. And perfect day for me, yeah. I wasn't expecting such pace after missing most of practice this week, but the guys did a super job with the car. It was great on the long runs, and I could use up some strategy to get myself up there and stayed there for as long as I did. Obviously, Chin and Aitken being taken out earlier made it easier, but I'll take it nonetheless and take 50 points to the summer break.
That's, of course, the big factor right now is, once again, the championship lead has swapped around to your favor once more. So, while going into the summer break, you're going to be coming back at Kentucky Motor Speedway. How are you going to prepare to try to put up I can imagine you're going to put up a hard defense for your final championship, for your championship run here, coming up to the summer break and into the final portions of the season?
Well, yeah, the plan is to keep it till Indy and keep it at Indy and win Indy. If that's a very long shot, that's far away, but yeah, the plan is to stay there. Championship. Josh is obviously gonna fire back at this. No doubt, such a good competitor, such a strong guy overall. He's in the Firecracker 400 as well this weekend, so best of luck to him for that. And I hope we can race each other till the very end. I'm really enjoying things so far, and gonna take a break now. I'm just so exhausted by all this preparation and heat and all that. That's incredible this year.
Yes, indeed. The heat, I think, is getting to just about everybody, myself included, even up here in Canada. So, well, I guess on that note, then, obviously you're planning on having a very good run at your season. You came off a very good, strong run, finally putting an end to Joshua Chin's dominant streak here at the oval side of things. Well, before we let you go, who helps you to be fast in your Vortex Sim Racing number 29?
Big shout out to Robert, Tristan, Jan, and Timo wasn't there this week for the work. Since I missed so much of the practice this week, that's the win is for them, that's for sure. And big shout out to you guys. I know Rob is back to his karting and Indycar duties, so thank you so much for stepping in, Nolan, Connery, and Jim. And also big thanks to series sponsor Virtual Race Car Engineer for all their help.
And thank you, Mr. Laville, for taking the time to join us today. Well, going to move things right on down the order, this time to Robert Groscher, who came through second place, the second driver in what is within a Vortex Sim Racing 1-2-3. Jim is standing by with Mr. Groscher.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for joining us, Mr. Grosser. What is going through your mind right now? You've got to be pleased with those results.
Yeah, thanks, John. Absolutely true. I didn't expect too much here today, to be very honest. I didn't do too well at the previous 1 mile oval at Phoenix some month before. So I was really like in the mindset of keeping the car on track and see maybe top 5. And then I did a very bad strategy call, staying out there together with Josh. And from there, I was really thinking that my race is doomed. But yeah, I can't be unhappy really with the result.
Well, it's certainly not doomed. I mean, as we just heard, a Vortex 1-2-3 finish. That's an impressive showing. So where is your mind as the laps are starting to tick down and you're having that, you're feeling yourself tip over from the feeling of doom to the feeling of, hey, I'm in the lead of this race almost?
Yeah, that was a very good feeling, especially when you have the teammates nearby. I mean, Lucas was there in the lead. I was trying my maximum. I mean, without trying to do something stupid, of course, but to maybe catch him, but he was too quick. There was a little bit of a concern for Niall, who was the last remaining Team Chimera car, who was quite fast. I mean, the whole team was pretty fast, and they would have had a very good shot in winning also with Josh, obviously. So that was still there, to keep me awake, actually.
Well, an impressive showing from the Vortex team. Very present at the sharp point of the field at the beginning of the race, and extremely present at the end. So, congrats to you guys. Well done. A great race. I had a ball watching.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Jim, and I'm really looking forward to watch the broadcast a bit later.
Well, thanks so much. We really appreciate you taking the time to speak to us. And I believe, Nolan, are we stepping on down the field?
I believe we are. There's one more driver that we're going to have a little word with today, and this is going to be Mr. Jan Hoffman, who, as we understand, one of your first finishes, Jan, and your first podium as well. So, final driver in the Vortex 1, 2, 3, and your first podium position. I think you could be very happy with that, I would think.
Yeah, I'm very happy with that result, because it's the first race in the last 5, I think, I actually finished. And to be on the podium and that being my best finish, it's a pretty good feeling.
Well, starting from 10th place and being one of the drivers to make up the most spots of a total of 7 to finish on the podium, no doubt was not easy. We saw a lot of drivers, really struggling with the track today, with especially getting on the throttle on the exit of the corners. What do you think was one of the key things that made today's race so challenging for a lot of people?
Not to overdrive the car, and not having too much throttle input out of turns, because even our car got a little bit loose, or at least my car, and just running the correct lines, not going too low. So it was more about your own line and not about what the other guys are doing.
Well, some of the hazards, I suppose, of racing at a track that's either completely flat or not quite flat, but, almost there. Of course, you have the summer break coming up as well. I can imagine that you're going to be wanting to hit the ground running when you move on to Kentucky over in August. What are you going to be doing to help prepare for that race?
Yeah, I will try to help the team working on a setup, but as it stands now, I might not do in Kentucky, since I'm out of the country at that date, so I guess I have to sit that out, which is kind of sad for me, because I actually like the ovals. So I try to prepare for Montreal. And,
Montreal is still a very good track, of course, and no doubt one that I think that we can see a lot of drivers and a lot of calamity taking place there as well. So, well, regardless of this, it was still a very, very impressive performance by you today, and congratulations once again on getting your first podium position here in some time. Before we let you go, anybody that you'd like to help thank today?
Yeah, I want to thank the whole Vortex crew, Lucas, Robert, Tristan, who did a lot of work on the car, and Timo as well.
And we thank you for joining us today, Mr. Hoffman, and we hope to see you back on the podium and talking to us here in the future for the series once more.
Thank you for having me here.
I think that is going to about do it for our interviews today. So, before we wrap things up here then, Jim, what are your final thoughts for this race? Because, in all honesty, there was a lot that happened to this one, and I have to tell you what, it was something else for sure.
Yeah. I mean, I knew that it was going to be fun. You could hear the excitement in my voice as I was saying. I'm really looking forward to the start of this race, and I was rewarded fully, I feel. Just quickly, I want to say a shout out to Andrew Adair Saunders, finishes in P6, still does donuts at start finish. You got to respect that kind of flair.
And not only that, but he was a lap down too. So I guess he was celebrating the fact that he won out of the cars that were a lap more down. So I mean, I'd say that's legit.
Yeah, that's not. Yeah. Certainly in a race like this with calamity, as you said, certainly something to be proud of. We just like to see that kind of excitement and engagement for sure. But boy, what a race! I mean, almost too much to talk about. But I can't wait to see the next installment. I'm sure you're in the same position.
Oh, absolutely. Of course, with these words, it is going to be time to close off today's broadcast and enter the summer break for the VRCE Classic IndyCar Series. The next time you see them will be on August 9th for round number 8 over at Kentucky Motor Speedway for yet another 200-lap race. I have been Nolan Rempo with Jim Hodgson joining me today in the booth, and Connery Maddock operating the cameras down in the producer's chair. Thank you for joining us here on RaceSpot TV on the iRacing Esports Network. For myself and the rest of the crew, wish you a very happy Sunday and have a good rest of your day.